Mama said don't talk to strangers. That's okay. We'll do it for you. Welcome to the Bar Talk Podcast, where we talk to interesting people doing interesting shit. Welcome, Brenda.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in. This was a kind of a weird way we got introduced. One of our listeners from a previous podcast heard me talking about this topic and said, well, I know just a guest for you.
Julie?
Yes.
Okay.
And lined it all up. Yeah. Yeah, we had Craig Dorsey. He's kind of famous for renovating old Airstream trailers, vintage trailers. And he talked on a couple episodes ago about the transformation with plant medicine and ayahuasca and things like that. Yeah, and I said, yes, I am fascinated with that topic. So yeah, Julie reached out and said, I know someone for you. So here we are. But do you want to introduce yourself a little bit? Just kind of a quick introduction?
Brenda Perks is what they call my name, and I'm also known as Wolfrun. So Wolfrun, yes. Wolfrun is my Mi'kmaq name. Okay. So it's she who runs with the wolves.
Nice. That sounds tough.
Yeah, especially the vision that came with it.
Wow.
Which was roughly 25 years ago.
Wow. Can you tell us that story? Or, well, maybe we should say the rest of your introduction, and then we get back to that story.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So I have been brought up in the white man's world, so you can see by the blue eyes. But that being said, my grandmother is Mi'kmaq, and I have relatives who are very well known, including Senator Judy White and Elder Dr. Kelvin White. Oh, wow. He's written a book, and my grandmother is featured in that book, too.
Oh, wow.
So the story is there. It's alive. And I was raised in more of a non-reservation situation, so I was raised in Nova Scotia. Mm-hmm. My family are all in Newfoundland, on the rock, bye. Yeah. But I'm over here in my world. And I've grown up with plants my entire life. I think my father said I come out of the womb with something between my lips holding either a leaf or something. So it's in my blood. Wow. And I've been a feral child, ran on thousands, and I mean thousands of acres, and was rarely home. Wow. Barefoot and running. So you grew up
in Nova Scotia.
Yes.
But with family roots in Newfoundland. Yeah. Yeah, nice. Yeah. So and you are a plant medicine. What would you call yourself? What's the title?
So I have two worlds. I'm what they call the two-eyed seeing. You've heard that expression, right? So I have Eastern and Western medicine. Okay. So as a registered nurse, I have the Eastern side, or the medical side, the scientific side, but I was raised in the dirt. And I don't like to use the term dirt, but in the soil with plants. I was given my first garden at 8 from my father, and I've been with my medicine ever since. I worked in the oil and gas industry, and I even had plants on the oil rig. Wow. I refuse to be without them.
Cool.
So there's one in my car.
You travel with your plants?
That's how sad my world is, right?
That's not sad at all. That's great.
That
Someone has to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds fun. I like plants.
I mean, the plants have been here longer than us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was what you would call the poster child for ADHD. Okay. Back in my day.
And they call that a dysfunction or a problem, but is it really? That's what I'm wondering.
It's a catch-22. It depends on your diet. Mm-hmm. So if you have colors, so the color red in my diet was a no-go.
Like a natural red or a fake red? Fake red, yes.
Fake red that's added
or
to
like food dyes or something.
Food dyes, preservatives affect children.
Oh,
I've heard that about red food. I know someone else who can't eat red food dye.
Yeah. It's very high, and our society is built on colors and preservatives and flavors. So our children are not getting natural foods.
No, and that's a common topic we have here.
And it's another topic.
It's it is a very important topic.
Yes.
We need to get back to the more natural food.
Correct.
I say we should tax everything that has a list of ingredients.
100%.
Like a tax like alcohol or tobacco or those things that cost our society. And if it has one ingredient in it, like if this tomato is 100% tomato, it should be cheaper.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree
That's
with
kind
you
of a
on
bit
that.
of a project we're going, yeah. Because the red on a tomato doesn't bother anyone, right?
No,
No, it's natural. That's the way
Correct.
we've evolved and developed. Yeah.
it's the man-made stuff.
Yeah.
You want to stay away
Oh,
from that.
humans trying to think that they can fix things, make things better. Nature knows what it's been doing a long time.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with the food and the pharmaceuticals, I may say. And that's why you're here today.
Yeah. So
We're big believers in that around here.
so there's a catch-22 with my role because I have been a nurse for over 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
There's a piece of me that didn't agree with that. Now, the profession in and of itself is fine, but the medicines that were given out,
Right.
I avoided that.
Well, the term medicine isn't really a substance. I mean, the original term medicine is just the practice of making people well.
Pharmaceutical
It's
medicine.
but then our system got captured by the pharmaceutical companies.
Oh, 100%.
And they, instead of giving you sunshine, they give you a pill.
Correct.
Yeah. Or instead of
Yes.
food, or exercise, they give you a pill.
Yeah.
And so many people are on Ozempic now. And things like that. You can get started here. This is a safe place, and everyone who listens, they know.
Yeah, that's
Our audience are usually on the same page.
Yeah, that's a delicate one there. So
Yeah.
it's very simple. We have everything we need is right here.
Mm-hmm.
But we're misusing it. I mean, our planet is provided us with all the medicines that we would ever need.
Yeah.
Ever. Like, I have to be very careful
Yeah.
what I say.
Well, and I think if we started with a healthy diet, we wouldn't need as many of the medicines.
Correct.
Yeah.
And clean water.
Yeah.
Those two ingredients go
Yes.
a long way.
Yeah.
So, and we wouldn't have ADHD in our children. We wouldn't have all these problems with anxiety and depression, when you've got 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds that are going for prescription med.
Yeah. I think it's 40% of teenagers now have a diagnosed mental illness.
Higher than that.
Is it?
Oh, much higher than that. Yeah. And when you're diagnosing 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds with that, that we've got an issue.
Yeah.
Right. But nobody looks at the box of cereal that they just consume for breakfast. And cow's milk, which is made for cows, not humans.
Yeah. Well, and if it was just cow's milk, it would be one thing, but then all the things they do to it, all the hormones and all the stuff that get put in there.
And then you wonder why the kids can't sit still in class. They can't function. They're angry. They're throwing things. They have temper tantrums. They don't sleep. It goes, that little hamster wheel goes round and round and round. Get off it.
Yeah.
Throw your kid outside.
I know. I've
without
heard
a phone.
I've had friends who say their kid just has ADHD and behavior problems and they can't control them. And then they also tell me that the kid only eats Oreos. And I'm like,
Who's the parent?
what's there might be a little red flag there, although I have a clue what might be going on here. Your kid's 100% eating Oreos. Maybe that's an issue.
Yeah, but that's a parenting issue. That's
Yeah.
and then again, that's another topic.
There's a
which
list of issues there.
I won't go on to that one. So, having been a feral child, and when I say feral, I mean feral, I would go for miles and miles and miles and not return. And no, don't put footwear on me. I'm in barefoot in any way, shape, or form. Always scavenging, looking for plants to eat or steal from backyard gardens or what have you. Yes, notorious for being up in apple trees. Got to go where you got to go.
Yeah.
So that has been in my blood. It's who I am, and I've kept that. So I've 60 plus years of playing in the soil and with plants. And there are many types of plants, but they're the psychedelic plant medicine, and then there's a pure plant medicine. So it's the traditional medicines that we need.
And by pure plant medicine, what would be an example of that?
Oregano, thyme, all your herbs.
Like immune system boosting and stuff like that?
Yep. All of anything that grows is edible. Some things may be poisonous to them, but they're still
You can eat them. Whether they'll stay down or not is another issue.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah.
So, and because society is geared towards pharmaceutical agents as opposed to go have some pine tea to shake some of that depression that you have.
Right.
The little things that are available to us, people don't know about either.
And what would be in the pine tea? Like,
There's
is it vitamin
enzymes.
D? Enzymes?
There's enzymes in the pine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know in this northern environment, so many folks are low on vitamin D because we don't live outside in the sunshine like we used to. I mean, humans really are solar powered.
Yeah.
You can kind of survive inside in the dark, but not really. You're
They're
not
not
going to
very
thrive.
pretty.
No, you're not going to thrive.
I've
You're not going to
seen them.
thrive. And like in the medical systems, 100 years ago or so, they'd have sunrooms, or they'd put people in wheelchairs and take them outside onto the lawns. Hospitals used to have lawns, folks. Imagine that. And they'd put people in the sunshine because they believed in that. Now you never see that. The only time people go outside at a hospital now is to smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very sadly.
These
it's
natural
true.
remedy, and so many folks here are vitamin D deficient, and I think that's causing a lot of the physical ailments, a lot of the mental ailments. I think 94 or 96% of the people that died of COVID were vitamin D deficient.
And people with Alzheimer's, their studies, they're vitamin D
Yeah.
deficient.
Just natural.
So there's a lot of power to the traditional medicine, and it's about educating people on that because people are now looking for answers.
Yeah.
And since our government is taking away our healthcare supply, as in our natural healthcare supplies, they're removing a lot of the natural medicines, so to speak, from the shelves.
Really?
Yes, they're cutting down on that.
So the government, or is it the government's doing that with the influence of the pharmaceutical company?
That's a delicate twist. I don't know
Yeah,
the answer to
yeah.
that. All I know is I'm seeing and hearing people saying, this is gone. You can't get it anymore.
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole idea. Is they're going to creep in and they're going to push it away so that you will only rely on the pharmacy and they will be able to control you more.
Because there's no money in healthy people.
No.
No.
No, and there's no control in healthy
Right.
people.
I think people are waking up and changing their minds about this stuff. A lot of people are. A lot of folks.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that now realize, and plant medicine ayahuasca stories are traveling like wildfire. So
And we
people
can speak
are,
about that
yeah,
openly now.
Yeah,
Yes. People are, this is the conversation. I mean, we're going to put this on the internet. These are the kind of conversations that used to happen in whispers in private. You know what I mean? About
Depends
mushrooms.
on your circle.
Yeah, I guess so. But you know what I mean? Like, this is a much bigger topic now that people are starting to talk about.
Good.
So I see a shift. I see a change.
big changes.
People planting gardens and raising chickens and doing more natural things. I think there's a lot of folks waking up to that.
100%.
Yeah.
That's what we should be doing. That's what we were doing.
Yes.
That's how we survived in the beginning anyway.
For hundreds of thousands
yeah.
of years.
So why did we switch it?
Money.
Greed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're on to you. We're on to you, sons of bitches.
Exactly. Starting
Or
a
shut
new
'em down.
protest. We're gonna lie
Yeah.
to people.
Well, I'm very interested in what's going on in the States right now with Robert Kennedy Jr. and the HHS.
Oh yeah.
About he wants to get people into nature and natural food, and I think there's 10,000 food additives in the States that are approved to put in I think there's 400 in Canada and 10,000 there. Like if you compare Canadian Fruit Loops and American Fruit Loops, the Canadian
they're
Fruit
a
Loops are
different
very different color. They're more dull because we don't allow as many chemicals. In America, it's even more. Like their Fruit Loops are vibrant colors, and he's picking on them guys a lot. Things are
Good.
going to change down there.
Good. Well,
Yeah.
we'll see.
Well, I hope.
Well, yeah.
Kennedy's having this way of getting shot.
So, hence, we'll
Yeah.
see.
There's one thing that'll get you faster than red food dying. That's a bullet.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're praying for you, Kennedy.
Yes.
let's hang in there.
But the fact that he has now opened people's minds to thinking, that is the key. So being able to think about, oh, maybe there is another option, that's what we want to see. And that's the movement that we've
Yes.
got to get people to say, open your eyes, take your glasses off that are not rose colored, they're actually black. Take
Yeah.
them off.
And we need to trust nature more. Nature, whatever nature is, if it's God or Mother Nature or whatever it is, it knows how to look after us. It's been doing it a long time.
Yeah, a lot
and we
longer
have
than
this
we've been.
mistrust. It's ego, because we believe we know better as humans. Ego has been our problem for so long, thinking that we can improve on very natural things. We can't.
Plants don't have egos.
We mess things up.
That's true.
Plants don't have egos,
No,
that's for
Mother
sure.
Earth doesn't have an ego.
And sometimes plants can deal with my ego.
Not sometimes.
Yeah.
Always.
Always when I interact with them, yeah.
Always. It
Yeah.
will always tap into the ego on some level. It's whether you're paying attention to where it's
Yeah.
tapping in.
Or if you're letting it or fighting it.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. So
Yeah.
if you're not willing to let go, healing only begins when you let go of what no longer serves you. So is it serving you?
Yeah.
That's the question.
That's
It
the
doesn't
question.
matter what you consume. Is it serving you? And are you grateful for that? Because there are people who don't have something as simple as clean water. And they live in this province. People think it's third world countries. No, I got news for you. It's right here. This province alone, there are people who do not have clean water.
That's pretty bad, really. I mean, because we have the technology.
We have the technology.
Hence the word technology.
Yeah.
Get rid of the word technology. Go back to nature. You'll have your clean water when you tap into it.
That's fair. That's
right?
true.
You're just choosing not to.
Yeah, because nature's been doing that for a long time.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So there's nothing more powerful than a beautiful dug well or a drilled well on your property, and it's clean and it's natural.
And if there's not contaminants around, like diesel
Correct.
fuel or salt from the roads,
Yeah.
that well can stay clean and healthy.
But it's so far down and under, it's
Yeah.
not a bit affected by it at all. But do you know what's in your pipes?
I don't know. I don't know.
So, yeah, right? And
Yeah.
plants will, so you can do an experiment as well. You can take well water, propagate like a new plant seedling of some type or a plant in it, then take one that's come right out of your tap with chlorine and fluoride and watch the difference.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't have that stuff. I have natural well water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where all your minerals and your elements that you need for survival
Yeah.
are. But your plants need it too. So don't go watering your plants that you won't choose to eat with this town water that's
Yeah.
got chlorine and fluoride in it and everything else.
Yeah. Everything
Sounds
else.
obvious, right, when you say it like that, but it's not something that people think about a lot of
Well,
the time,
again,
right?
it's like humans think they can improve on water. Let's put chlorine, which kills organic things, and fluoride in it. Why are we trying to fix water?
Well, there is a time in history when as soon as we lived in big cities, there's infection suddenly, right? So
Yeah.
we're trying to curb that, but that's the result of another problem. You're not fixing the problem, you're putting a Band-Aid on it, right?
Well, yes,
And that's a systemic issue. That's not a...
bacteria can kill you quick. The chlorine and the fluoride and all that stuff will probably kill you
Slightly better.
longer. Yeah.
Slightly
Yeah.
better to have chlorine in the water than have
Because
typhoid.
humans are very
but you're
resilient.
better... Yeah.
We're quite resilient. Like we can walk and talk and function kind of sick. You can kind of get by. You could, without a strong metabolic health. But to really thrive, it's a whole other thing. Like you can feed. I remember being in a restaurant in Weymouth once, and this waitress brought a guy a glass of water, and he said, "Oh, I'd never drink water. I only drink coffee and Pepsi." And then he spent the next hour complaining to everyone about how sick he was.
Okay. What was the message behind that?
Exactly. I think a lot of the stuff is we're doing it to ourselves.
Oh, 100%.
People say all the time, we need more doctors. But I say, what if we had fewer sick people? And a lot of people don't get that. They don't get what I'm trying to say. They say, no, we need more doctors. I say, no, wait a minute. What if we just had fewer sick people? If we had more clean water and natural food and sunshine and exercise, we wouldn't need these doctors or their drugs. Not nearly as many.
Correct. And one of the key things that people don't pay attention to is they feel there is a need to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
What do you need to go to the doctor for? Well, I've got a headache, or I've had this for 3 days. And why have you had a headache?
Not drinking water.
Not drinking water, not drinking clean water. Do you
Yeah.
go outside at all? Are you in the office?
Yeah.
Stop. So
Yeah.
it's back up.
Yeah.
Because people didn't go to the doctor
Yeah.
20, 30 years ago.
They didn't
like
have
they
to.
do now. But they didn't go. They were tougher. They were stronger. They,
Well,
Yeah,
yes.
they had
up
wisdom
with
as well. You would know somebody who would say,
Mm-hmm.
like and there'd be like an elder or somebody like you could ask, like, dude, I've had a headache for 3 days. What is it? And the guy would just ask you, have you had water? And they'd be like, of course, there we go.
Yeah.
Right? That's what would happen.
And
Or you go to your grandfather or something.
People didn't live on a diet of complete sugar because you just didn't have it.
That would have been really expensive in the medieval period to do that.
Yeah.
Well, they had sugar cane, so hey.
But your grandmother knew you can't have that all the time.
Correct.
You
It's
know?
the gray-haired wise ones that
Uh-huh.
are speaking up now.
Yeah. Just gotta stick it there.
Yeah.
So how did you so you grew up in the wilderness and the woods, fascinated with plants, but the part I really want to get to is the treatment work that you did with, you did an official project with PTSD, people with PTSD.
Treatment-resistant PTSD.
So
not just
the
PTSD.
hardest cases of the hardest cases.
Yeah, the most difficult that we've had.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
And this was with a psilocybin.
Correct.
So if people don't know, that's magic mushroom, psilocybin, and PTSD. So how did you get from a girl running around in the woods, being not stuck in apple trees, high up in apple trees, and then get to be leading a PTSD study? Tell us how that happened.
There's a story and a half. Some people say I should write a book on my adventures, and I think, no, I think I'll leave them in my head. I was actually in Alberta at the time, and I was thinking, okay, let's make a job shift or a bit of a move.
This is when you were working with oil and gas in Alberta?
No, I was just out there visiting family at the
wow.
time, actually, and I just happened to be scrolling, and wait a minute now, and I was like, what is this? So then this company plopped up on the screen, and I was like, looking at the location, I was like, Windsor, Nova Scotia? And I was like, wait a minute now. Who are these people? I'll reach out. So I reached out, and I literally just said, you wouldn't need any assistance with this operation or how you wish to move through. And they literally just hauled me in, literally, because I gave them a little bit of my background, the fact that I have both worlds. I have the science part of the medical world, and I have the indigenous side of the world. Plus, you throw in the third feral wilderness wild woman. So they literally just said, we really could use you, because they didn't have anybody that understood plant medicine, how it moves, how it works, how to use it. So they were like, wait a minute now. You can do our medicals and you can do the therapy? And I'm like, yeah. And they're...
Isn't that so strange? It's something that's so natural and people have been doing for tens of thousands of years. They have no one that can just do that. Where did we go off track?
Yeah,
Yeah.
really. So I came back and started working with them, and then as time went on, I literally ran that. I led that trial.
Wow.
Start to finish.
That's cool. So what was your own experience like with psychedelic medicine? Yeah.
Mine started at the age of 9.
Wow. Tell us that story.
It's younger than me.
Remember, I told you about the feral child, right? I would have been the ADHD or Ritalin poster child back then. Well, some psilocybin tea got into my hands.
Wow. At 9?
At 9, from somebody else who said, we need to calm this child down, basically.
So this was from a medicinal kind of approach. This wasn't a party thing.
No. This is to settle this feral child, to get her out of the trees and get her back closer to home. We got to control this child of some sort, because I'm at school age and I'm driving the teachers through the roof, like literally giving them nervous breakdowns because what do we do with this child, right? So, well, there was an alternative, thank heavens for grandmothers, that know where the medicine is, and it was started out with psilocybin tea.
Wow. So, like, the magic mushrooms do grow naturally here in Nova Scotia.
Do they ever?
Yeah. And so which
everywhere.
Types would be natural to
Golden
grow
Teacher
here?
is what we're going to find here.
That's my favorite. That's what I use.
It's the basic, and it's the cleanest and safest. I mean, there are over 300 plus strains just of psilocybin. And so what we have growing here is, go for it. It's when you start getting into the tricky stuff, like there's the different strains, like penis envy and albino penis envy. Those are not for the weak at heart or the faint. They're not for a beginner type thing. So Golden Teacher is always the safest. It's got the most stable molecules, and it's the easiest to transport and transmit between the blood-brain barrier. Yep.
So when you say stable molecule, you mean the type of psilocybin that's in that is stable? Is that what you...
Well, there's psilocybin, there's psilocin, and then there's baeocystin and how do you pronounce that? So there's 4 main compounds in it, and it's the balance of the 4. So some have higher levels of psilocybin, some have higher levels of psilocin. So depending on the strain, you want one that's stable, as in got the balance of all 4. And
that's interesting. See, that's something I don't think a lot of people know.
Yeah.
Be similar to with cannabis and your THC and CBD.
There's so many strains of cannabis, so there are different strains as well.
Okay, so it's okay. That is an interesting parallel because that can make a huge difference because you can have
100%
Yeah.
difference. So people who say you had a bad trip, what did you take?
Yeah.
Well, those are magic mushrooms. No. Which ones?
Yeah.
some random ones from a party somewhere. Then
You don't know what you took, is
Yeah.
what you're trying to tell me. And then you throw alcohol on top of
Right.
that, or you throw cannabis on top of that. And cannabis and mushrooms don't play well in the
No.
sandbox. at
And a lot
all.
of people have tried, most people I know who have tried magic mushrooms and had a bad experience. They did it in a party kind of setting with alcohol in a crowded place. Like that's just hasn't been my experience with them at all.
No.
I started microdosing 2 summers ago. And it's more of a therapy thing for me. I've never ever tried that as a party thing. But a lot of people, I think they have this notion in their head that, I tried that, it was a bad experience. But that's what they did. They took a crazy amount in some wild, busy place with a bunch of tequila, and they had a bad experience, and they just don't want anything to do with it again.
Or they've decided to take a mitt full of something in their home with nobody around. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what did you do that for?
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's lots of scenarios. So when somebody says that, it's the question, where were you? What were you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Because hence the word, and this is what my favorite topic, magic mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
The magic. So scientists and research companies, universities particularly, have done tremendous amount of studies on how the psilocybin and the psilocin, all the other compounds, how it actually works on the brain. But nobody knows the magic of how it happens.
Mm-hmm.
So hence the word magic.
Right.
Right? So it's no different than consciousness. You can tell me what consciousness is, but how does it work?
Well, I was hoping to get into that today.
Right? So
Yeah.
that's another topic.
Yeah.
So, but they're highly connected because that
does,
is the
yeah.
answer. Mother Earth is a consciousness level that we need to tap into.
Mm-hmm.
And it's whether you're willing to and open to, et cetera.
And if you've never had any experience with this kind of thing, you may listen to this conversation and think that's crazy. But once you've had experience with that, you really start to question
Yes.
what you think you know
Yeah. And how little we know.
and how little we know.
We're like, what? I thought I knew.
And so what we're finding, what they are finding, there's so many research studies going on now with the psilocybin and post-traumatic stress disorder and that kind of thing. And it's finding that a lot of people are finding relief or some help.
Haven't found anybody that hasn't.
Yeah,
It's a plant.
yeah,
Hello, it should be in the water, not chlorine.
yeah.
Did I say that out loud?
we could try that. We should try that.
Try what?
Putting it in the water instead of chlorine.
Oh, yeah.
100% should try that.
Putting in people's beer.
Not without them knowing. I know a few people I'd like to slip into them though.
Don't we all?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a fascinating topic that can which would be phenomenal to have a group of people. So have you ever decided you wanted to have a larger group of people, and actually get into the topic of the magic?
Mm-hmm.
Call me.
Right.
I'm all on
Because
it.
All right.
there's a very scientific part of it. You can
Yep.
kind of understand the science of it. But once you've experienced it, you'll wonder. I mean, and you can think of consciousness even in a very scientific way, or you can think of consciousness in a very spiritual
Correct.
kind of way. And I wonder where the line blurs. Is there a line?
Exactly.
You just don't know.
Yeah. So you can't even explain it.
You can't even explain it. The trick is you have to kind of experience it, but you should experience it in a slow, responsible kind of way. So let's get
Depends.
well, yeah. Well, if someone who's timid, I think the worst thing you can do is go into it, in my experience, is go into it afraid or resistant. Because if you try to fight back
Yeah.
against these mushrooms, the mushrooms win. In my
Good luck with
experience.
that.
Good luck with that.
Because it doesn't matter who you are, you will always have that fear. You're
Yeah.
like,
'Cause I
oh, what's
I feel
this
like there's
gonna
something
do?
to do with the ego in there, like not
Absolutely.
not
100%.
trying to like hold on to this kind of ego.
Yeah.
You need to let that go a little bit, right? Or I think that's what it feels like to me, but
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Yes, but letting that go is not easy.
No.
We are humans,
Yeah, not as easy as it sounds, I guess.
No, it's not easy at all. However, the plants do speak the truth.
Mm-hmm.
We are the ones who don't speak the truth.
Yeah, well, we're the only things on the planet that really tell actual lies to people. Like, really, I mean,
Yes.
a plant is incapable
Well,
of lying.
Humans are the only creatures I know of that tell stories.
Fair.
The reason that we've developed the ability to tell stories is so we can organize in bigger groups. You know, you've got chimpanzees, which is our closest cousins, and they get into groups of like 100, 125, and they never grow bigger than that because you can't organize more than those people without a story. Humans organize bigger groups because we have the ability to tell stories. We make religions, we make countries. These are all just stories. These are all just stories we tell each other. So the power of the story is so important to the human experience. But then we tell ourselves stories like we lie to ourselves in story. We tell ourselves we're worthless or we're so important. We tell these stories to each other. And the story, I think, gets all tangled up in our brains and we don't know up from down half the time. And our ego takes over. Either a lot of people think ego is like arrogance, and it can be, but I think ego, and correct me if I'm wrong, but ego is just your perception of yourself. And sometimes that can be extremely high, or that can be extremely low, or it can be extremely low and it comes across as extremely high. This big idea of who we are, right? Overthinking about ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ego is also a false
Fault, yes.
image of
But
you.
it,
False.
yeah, false, yeah.
Yeah. So what you think you are
Uh-huh,
and what you really are
uh-huh.
don't match.
Right. Because of the story ability that these humans have.
And the attachments to those stories, yeah.
Yeah. Because we all want to organize, we try to organize the world into a story that we can understand.
Yes.
Right.
Survival.
For survival, yeah. In
But plants-
organization and structure.
Plants tell stories too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, example, ayahuasca is only grown in the Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, ayahuasca is not. The plants are in the
Mhm.
Amazon. They're not here.
Right.
So they're keeping their story over there,
Okay.
right? So if you want to get really mind-bending on that one, they tell stories as well.
Is the compound in ayahuasca, is that DMT?
Correct.
Yeah. And that's
Dimethyltryptamine.
dimethyltryptamine. And that's present in many plants around
Yeah.
the world.
It's present in garden plants you put in your backyard.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everywhere in the world has hallucinogenic plants.
Correct.
And humans have been using these hallucinogenic plants for
Yes.
a long
Even in
time.
Siberia.
Even in Siberia. Yes.
Yeah. Some of your
Yeah.
biggest shamans and mushrooms are in Siberia.
Yeah. The whole if any old Christmas cards have pictures of mushrooms in the old Christmas traditions
the
are
old
a lot.
Christmas
Yes.
cards with Santa
Santa,
Claus.
yeah.
That's a whole other
And the flying
story.
reindeer and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Look it up. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I think mushrooms and hallucinogenics have been a major, major, major part in the human experience. And it's only in its recent history that we've tried to bury this and deny it.
Correct.
Yeah.
And all your gurus, your spiritual gurus that you think are all saints? Got news for you. How do you think they got there?
So take us back to 9. You're 9, and your grandmother, who is Mi'kmaq,
Mm-hmm.
says we need to help this girl. Gives you some psilocybin tea, and our Mi'kmaq people have probably been using this forever. No.
No, not in the scope of the intentions that my grandmother.
So grandma was a trailblazer.
Yes. So, well, there are medicine people,
Uh-huh.
and there are, every culture has just your general people, but there are specific people who understand medicine, either naturally or through study. And there are people who will pick up on stuff quickly. So she just happens to have, how, I don't know, she's long gone. But the plants have been around for forever and ever and ever, so why not use them? So yeah, so it was my introduction, and it wasn't like I was using this on a regular basis either.
Yeah.
It was let's see if we can calm this feral child down a little
Right.
bit. So, and here I am today, and
Yeah.
I don't take any medication, none whatsoever.
I mean, pharmaceuticals.
Correct.
Yeah.
Nothing. Never have.
Yeah.
Refuse.
Hmm.
Because there's too many other options.
There's not a lot of research for it, is there?
No.
People are under the illusion that our pharmaceuticals are well researched and safe. But I will remind you all, our pharmaceutical companies have taken the biggest fines
Yeah.
in human history, billions and billions and billions.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've killed a lot of people.
And now,
And I'm not saying all pharmaceuticals are bad. I'm just saying don't go into it with as much trust as you've been led to believe sometimes.
correct. 100%.
Yeah.
Look at the side effects on some of the things.
Oh, yeah. Suicidal ideology.
May cause. I mean, the
Yeah.
list of kind of just on some basic medication.
Yes.
You actually read what the potential side effects are.
Yeah.
It's life threatening. Some of it
Yeah.
potentially.
Yeah. We have the highest rate of Tylenol deaths.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you
yes.
think, okay, I don't do drugs.
Yeah.
Don't get me started when someone says that.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, this isn't a drug, but that Tylenol you just took 2 hours ago,
Yeah.
and you're okay with that?
And it's right back to that original thing I said about how many ingredients are in this, right?
How many
If it has
deadly
if
ingredients?
it has one ingredient in it, it's probably a little safer than the thing that has so many chemicals in it. Yeah.
So people don't think, there are deaths from Tylenol. It's the number one drug.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so
It's
did
quite
your
that's much more scary than people think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but we're just accustomed to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you,
There's TV commercials. How can it be bad?
Yeah.
So
Excellent.
take us back. So how did the psilocybin tea help you with your focus and
Good
stuff?
luck.
And necessarily it's not. We all don't. The education system tries to put all these kids in a classroom, in desks, in a row, and force them to sit there and listen. That's not a natural state for a child. It really isn't.
No.
Active learning is so much and more natural. Like humans have been doing that stuff a long time. Like learning on the farm or in the forest.
100%.
These are good things. A kid that can't sit still is not necessarily a problem.
No.
Yeah.
No, they just need to be redirected, so
Yeah.
to speak. Yeah.
I would love to see more. I have a problem with healthcare, and I have a problem with the education system too. I would love to see more experimental kind of education systems because
Real education.
Because I was a kid, I started school in 1982. I couldn't focus to read. I had teachers telling me I would never read. I'd never graduate. I was shaving by the time I was reading. I had myself convinced that I was going to be a complete failure in life, but I was just probably an ADHD kid. I don't have no idea. But, I've been fairly successful in life. I read. I went to college. I did all these things. I own multiple businesses, multiple property. I'm doing all right. But back then in 1982, that was just you're different. We'll put you aside and you're on your own kind of thing.
Because you didn't fit into that mold.
Didn't fit into the mold. But we need people that don't fit into the mold.
Well, yeah, 'cause a lot
They're
of
called leaders. They're called entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
They're called
Artists.
inventors. They're artists.
Yeah.
We don't need everybody to do these things, but we do need a small amount of people that just tick a little different.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, where would we be if we didn't have some of these folks that kind of push the limits of what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Some of your top inventors were all uneducated. Henry Ford.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, even Albert Einstein. I'm not comparing myself to Einstein, folks, but he was, I think, 3 before he was speaking, and they thought he was, mentally challenged.
Yeah, they told him he wouldn't succeed in school. He's
Yeah.
been thrown out of school
Yeah.
so many times.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people, some of the coolest people I know have been thrown out of school and had all kinds of problems at school, to be
Yeah.
honest. I mean, it is the coolest people and the most interesting people.
Well, they're free thinkers.
Free thinkers, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
because, see, I've always had a problem with authority figures. What is school? It's authority figures, right?
Right.
So,
But we need a certain amount of those
and you
people.
need to push back. But
We do
you
need a
to
certain
push
amount
back.
that do go to school and get educations and engineers that sit in class and build a bridge that doesn't fall down. But we also need people who are a little different and are going to take some risks on some things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why we're sitting here.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you have to challenge authority. Sometimes you have to challenge the system, especially when the system is so broken.
100%.
And I think people are really waking up to how broken our physical and mental health is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So take us to this project in Windsor.
Yeah. So we were looking for 20 participants to get through, and we only got 10 through before it ran out of financial wonders. So of the 10 that we got through, 9 have 180. And I mean 180, literally flipped their lives 180. And so the process was they were given 2 doses, a small dose, which would have been the initial dose just for safety and efficacy to make sure you're okay. And then a week later, we
So
bring
what would
you
be
back.
a small dose?
So it was 1 milligram, but this is pure psilocybin.
Oh,
So
not
it's
1 milligram.
No,
of,
no, it's not the 4 compounds. It's a pure psilocybin that is extracted from the plant. It's formed in a powder. Then we add the solution to it, which is just water. Mix it up and down the hatch, so to speak. And so that session will last for about 4 hours. It's very powerful, and it comes on very quick.
So 1 milligram of pure psilocybin would be roughly,
Well, it's
like how much mushroom
it's
would that have?
1 milligram of
Pure
the
psilocybin.
mushroom, but it's 10 milligrams, of the compound.
Okay.
Right, so that's equivalent to 1 gram, 1 gram
Okay.
is what that's equivalent to if you do the 1 to 1% dried ratio. I'm not the scientist behind that. We had a chemist for that.
Yeah.
So that was the dose, 10 milligrams, and then a week later you come back and you got 25 milligrams, which is equivalent to 2.5 grams.
Grams.
But that's pure psilocybin. So street value would be roughly 5 or 6 grams, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's up there, yeah.
Very, very powerful.
Yeah.
And that would be a week later.
And so you're dealing with, was he mostly soldiers? Or just all different types of people?
No, the goal was to have veterans.
Veterans.
Initially, but we ended up having first responders. So we had firefighters, police officers.
So these people have seen some real
paramedics.
traumatic stuff.
Yeah, they're all. So we ended up sort of making little changes to our protocol and inviting them in.
And they've had PTSD that is untreatable or resistant.
Treatment resistant.
PTSD. And you get them in, and the first day you give them this dose. And what was the initial reaction? Were they all there together?
No,
separately?
gosh,
Yeah,
no.
Okay.
No,
I'm just trying to get a mind's eye on what's happening.
It's a very controlled setting, so we have to do a complete medical with them first, and the assessment to see where on that scale so we
On
give
the
them
PTSD.
a number, so we
Okay.
actually give them a rating. So they were up in the 50s, which is very high. An average person, if you were to do an assessment for PTSD, it'd be around 9 or 10.
Okay. So
So
these
they're
folks
up
are
in the
not
50s.
functioning very well.
No, suicidal, night terrors, just their lives are destroyed in one way or another. The careers are all on hold, etc. So that's sort of the format that they took, and it's all under a controlled setting. So we have a bed. You can use a bed, you can use a lounge chair, but you're given a set of blindfolds and headphones. And the blindfolds are to shut down the default mode network system, which is your operating system. So the minute you close your eyes, you're in a different world. I mean, even if you just do it yourself, you're like, wait a minute now. So your senses switch. So we close that off because your default mode network system, which is your visual world, your visual cortex, is your operating system. So there's where I look at you and I'll see these things and my mind is going. If I close that off, now where am I? Right? So, and then
You're forced to go a little more inward.
You are, because it's closed off. We're shutting down one of your senses. Then I'm going to shut down the second one, your auditory system. So I put headphones on you. And I, in particular, because I've been around and done my worldly things in life, I set it as a specific hertz. So I set it at 432 hertz or 528, which is actually the same hertz that's measured from the heart chakra system. So that's been scientifically proven as well. And there's been science research on music. So Beethoven is up quite high, but he as well, there's healing in music. So this is something you can get up and dance to.
I sleep every night to sleep music. And I don't know what frequency it is, but it's a certain thing that just kind of helps relax me.
Yeah. So that's what it is. It's just Zen meditation.
Yeah.
It's a sound that's in the background.
Very helpful. The first time I used it was to sleep on a plane, and then it just knocked me right out. I slept so well, noise canceling headphones on a plane, and I've just used it every night since.
Perfect.
It's great.
Yeah. So we close off those two sensory modalities, and now we're allowed to. Now we can do the real McCoy, And so they'll have a bed, and the reason for the bed is just so they can lay out and be comfortable. They can lay on the floor if they want. They can lay in a lounge chair because we had recliners there. It's your choice how you want to do this. But you want to be comfortable.
Yeah.
You're going to be there a while.
Yeah.
So on average, 4 to 5 hours.
Uh-huh.
And even the mini dose at the beginning will tap in and start the door. It'll start peeling back the onion layer. So it's not an easy process, not fun and games.
No.
And then your second session, you're more prepared. The people are more aware of what's going to happen. So the fear level drops,
Right.
and the trust level goes up.
That's a very trusting thing to go into this place and have
100%.
blinders and your hearing and everything kind of shut off.
Nothing. You're
Yeah.
actually hearing nothing and seeing nothing, and
Yeah.
then you're like, okay, where am I?
But these folks have suffered so much; they're probably more than ready to take this opportunity.
Yes and
Yeah.
no, because they
Yeah.
know what fear is.
Yeah.
So they're like,
Yeah.
oh, you want to be careful. So there's a process of building trust.
Yeah.
You just don't come in the door today and then I treat you next week.
Right.
There's time in between where I get to talk to you and you get to know who I am and you get to understand the comfort, and we discuss the process and the what ifs. What if I'm doing this, or what if I'm crying, or what? Well, that's part of the process and the cleansing process. So I cannot interfere because you got to be careful of transference and counter transference of energy. So I'm not here to pass my energy on to you, so I can't even touch you. There's that's a whole other topic as
Yeah,
well.
I'm sure.
Energy.
Yeah.
But you have to build the trust first.
Yeah.
And once they build the trust and get comfortable, then we're game on. Then it's time to go.
Wow.
And it's buckle down, put your seatbelt on, and hang
That's
on.
something we've talked a lot about on this podcast, and something that's very interesting to me. We've had a retired RCMP, we've had some military people and stuff like that. I think hoping to have another RCMP person come on soon with very serious PTSD situations. But a lot of the people that serve us and go out there to protect us, like the first responders and the firefighters and the police and the military, that they sacrifice their peace and their safety and their sanity for us. And we don't appreciate that enough. No. And our government and our medical system is not there for them to help them pick up the pieces like they should.
Sure.
We are doing a terrible job for that.
And families don't know how to work with that.
No.
So the wives, the children, they have no.
And a lot of people, anyone in their orbit suffers too. I mean, this person is suffering, but so many people are suffering in that situation.
But there's no need.
There's no need.
No need for suffering at all.
Yeah.
Same with the Buddhists. I mean, they all say suffering is a choice.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to.
No.
Let it go.
Yeah.
But the medicine will help you let it go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the first session. So they take how long of a break?
A week.
A week. Is there any talk therapy through this at all in this part of this program?
No, because the term psychedelic assisted psychotherapy is what is out on the main street. So it's the psychedelics that are doing the therapy, not me.
Right.
Now, that being said, in between the first week and the second week, I'll have conversations with them.
Mm-hmm.
How was that session? Is there anything that came up? There is the understanding of, now that I have this information, what do we do with it?
Right. So there's a lot of suppressed trauma that's causing all this turmoil in people, and the mushrooms kind of let it surface.
Spill it out. Yeah. So,
to be able to process it.
But because it was a research facility and it was researching the efficacy of the medicine itself, I have to be very delicate with my conversations, because therapy included with that will also determine the benefits.
Right.
So if I just leave you alone and don't talk to you, let the medicine do its work. That's what they want to know.
Because you're doing an official study and you need to have pure results.
Yeah.
You're going to eliminate the variables, basically.
Yeah, so I had to do
It's
that
probably
a lot.
tough. It's probably tough.
Yeah, because you're like, say nothing.
Yeah.
But I still did.
And you say the second session, how did that go?
Second session
Much bigger dose, like we say 10 times a dose?
Yeah, so no, so the first dose is 10 milligrams, the second one is 25.
25, okay, so 2.5 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that one is digging down right into the dirt, and it's going to do the work it needs to do there.
So you're watching this.
I am observing this.
And what kind of things are you seeing them experience?
More.
Like, I know you can't say like specific things because of confidentiality, but just for anyone who's curious about, if someone who may be wanting to try this, what could they expect? Like, what are these people facing? What are they dealing with when they're going through this?
Lots of emotional tears is usually what comes up. It's the discomfort of anything. When you have buried suppression of any kind of trauma, pulling that up is not easy. It's like ripping a Band-Aid off and taking some of the skin.
Yeah.
It's going to bleed again.
Because we want to avoid what hurts us.
Yeah, but it's going to bleed again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, there is a lot of emotional, I don't like the word turmoil, but emotional upset. And crying is releasing.
Yeah.
So it's going to make you cry. There hasn't been anybody that hasn't done medicine that hasn't shed many tears, or a couple in some form.
Yeah.
But it comes in waves. It'll be intense, and then it'll lay off just to give you a break, and then it'll be intense, and it'll lay off and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the synthetic or the compound that we used, because it was so pure, it would come on in 10 minutes. And literally like a saw, just go, and then like I turn the light off, it comes off, you're out. With the plant, it's not that smooth. It's like a mountain. You get in and it takes a while, and you're going up, and then you get up to the top, and then you work your way down the other side. So it can take about 45 minutes or so for it to tap in, where this is, we're counting down like, oh boy. And its onset is hard and fast. But the plant itself is a little more gentle.
Yeah,
but
that's been
once
my
it gets
experience,
there-
about 45 minutes or so. Yeah.
But you got a mountain to climb.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
But I've never done more than 2 grams. Never done more than 2. Not yet.
It's all you
I
need.
started microdosing with about 200 milligrams of capsules. And I found that was kind of like a microdose thing. I did that for a while. And then I had kind of a spell in my life that was like extreme stress and anxiety. So I said, I'm going to bump this up. Just planned an evening at home, about 2 grams, hanging out by the fire, just watching the lights and stuff. And I just found that it's such a peaceful thing for me.
100%.
Very, very peaceful. Like all the fear and anxiety about life was just kind of gone. You know, I'm not worried about tomorrow or the bills or any of this stuff.
Or your ego.
I just felt, the ego. What if I fail? I wasn't concerned with any of that stuff, because that's constant narrative for me. I have a lot of anxiety. You know, I got multiple businesses and kids and grandkid and, you know, a couple failed relationship, all these things, and I'm beating up on myself for this stuff all the time. But not when there's a couple grams of mushrooms in me. I'm not concerned about that at all. It's the time when I am most kind of just gentle with myself.
Correct.
Just kind of kind to myself. Yeah.
Let it go.
Yeah, let it go. Yeah.
There is a skill and an art to letting it go. And because we don't know how to do it, the plants will say, hey, I'll show you how.
Yeah.
But you can do it on your own. You don't need plants.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Let me back up. You do need plants.
Yeah. Well, I find.
But you don't need that.
If you're with me, with my anxiety is running really, really high for a while, I'll take a couple grams dose, playing an evening at home alone. It helps immediately, but then it also, like, once the psilocybin's gone out of my system, I still feel great for many, many days, for a long time. I should, yeah. It's not because the psilocybin is still active in my body. It's because the freedom from all that stuff that was kind of tormenting me seems to be gone. Or suppressed or something. I don't know.
No, it's never suppressed.
No,
Plants
not
will
suppressed,
not ever suppress.
But I just feel more free for quite a while after.
100%.
Yeah, and it's not because that psilocybin is still active. It's
Yes,
because
it is.
Is it
Yes,
for
it
days?
is.
Really?
Yes, it is. So
Okay.
here's where the wording gets twisted. Is it
Ah.
active scientifically or is it active magically?
Well, that's what I'm getting
It's
at.
active magically. So it's switching your perception. That's all it's doing. So that
The perception.
yeah. So
That's
what
definitely
your-
what it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your views. It's not so bad.
No.
So
You naturally, I kind of in my head, I think of it as taking a step back from things. Like you can see like the broader picture a little bit. You don't have to be so worried about like the narrow view of like, this must be done now. If I don't do my dishes, everything's going to fail. You can just like, no, I can leave the dishes. I can clean them tomorrow. It's all right. Nobody's going to be harmed, right? That's that difference.
Yeah.
For me, anyway.
Yeah. So the component that a lot of people miss is the mushrooms themselves grow from a mycelium,
Yes.
right? Which is that lovely white goo that's under our
That
planet.
network under the soil. Yeah.
Yeah. So that same network, if you look at something along the line of the medicines and the medical perspective, the mycelium is the same network that's in our neurons and our neurotransmitters. Same network, right?
Do we have another emergency? Please tell me it's not the nukes.
It's a geriatric patient, maybe.
An unused phone in a box just had an alert. That's
Okay.
what
All right. We're good. We're safe.
it was just a test. It's fine.
Just a test. Well, remember what happened in Hawaii here a couple years ago? They had the emergency nuclear warning system went off in Hawaii, and everyone thought they were being nuked by North Korea. And everyone was screaming and crying and freaking out. And it was just a cell phone system failure. Yeah. But we do live in anxious times.
Yes.
Yes. There's
But it's been created that way. So
yes.
watch,
I know.
Watch your wording.
Yes. Well, teach me.
That's the language.
That's why we're here.
That's
how
the
you
language.
control people is anxiety. Though you keep people anxious, right?
Yeah. Tell them the story of fear. You can
they'll give
control.
away all their freedoms because they're. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've seen this happen a few times over the last
Yeah.
2 years.
We
Fear
have.
is the
Decades.
ruler.
Yeah.
So medicines, plant medicines, they take the fear and disperse it. That's why we need the plant medicine. And now even psilocybin. But it's a mycelial field that runs within you. So once you tap into it, you're now tapped in, tuned in. Turned on.
Because if people may not have heard this, but this mycelium is like a network under the soil that literally connects all the plants and trees of the forest.
The earth.
Of the earth,
It's not just the forest. Yeah, it's the earth.
And they're really connected. So they do actually send signals to one another
100%.
through this network. It's almost like a plant internet under the earth. So we think of these
Which we've
plants
been
as
killing
all
by
being
deforesting
individual,
stuff.
but they're really not separate.
Correct.
They're kind of separate, but they're also very, very connected. And that's what I start to wonder.
It's
Because
like people
are
a bit
we
like that, right?
individuals?
No.
Are we really individuals?
No.
And a lot of times we think we are.
No, we're not.
But once you've had a plant medicine experience, you really start to wonder.
Take
how-
your shoes off.
Yeah, yeah. There's some strange things that happen in this world,
Ooh,
right?
there's a topic.
Strange coincidences.
There's some strange coincidences.
Strange dreams that are only explainable a long time later. So
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even there's studies about I forget what they call it, something learning, where they'll take a rat in a maze in like Japan, and they'll teach it to get through that maze, and they'll have the same maze in California. This has been proven. And once a rat knows how to do that maze in Japan, that a different rat knows how to do that maze faster in California. There is some sort of
like the chimpanzees with the washing of the food. Have you heard that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing. Like a
There's
bunch of
like-
chimpanzees learn how to wash food in an isolated island,
yeah.
and then suddenly other chimpanzees elsewhere are doing it as well, and
And-
there is no connection.
There
Right.
is a connection.
Well,
Well,
there's
there is
no
a connection.
explainable
There's no
connection.
physical connection.
And you wonder
There.
why did humans build pyramids all over the world? How did every place develop a bow and arrow? Like there's some very, very weird connections that make you, it's hard to deny that we really aren't connected somehow. Some kind of collective consciousness or something
Consciousness, yeah.
that we just don't understand.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, the double slit experiment proved all of that stuff, the
What's that?
connections. The double slit experiment, where they took the molecule, an atom, and split it in two. Right, you Google that one. That gets
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. You don't know about that one?
No.
Oh my
I haven't
gosh.
I know.
How do I not know that? Well, tell me.
We'll put graphics up on the thing or
Yeah,
something. Maybe we'll try and do
it's
that.
fascinating.
But basically, it kind of proves that your perception alters what you're looking at. Is the long and short
okay.
of it, basically, right? Without wanting to sort of go into science and
Yeah.
waves and particles, etc.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's
So
the
but-
observer influences the.
Oh, okay. Yes, I think I may have heard of that, but I didn't know that.
Without going into the science of it, but yeah.
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 Yeah. So, but those possibilities are accessible to anybody. You just don't think you do have that access, but you
Yeah.
do. and using it, knowing how to use it. That'll send you on another
Yeah, I
world.
definitely think there's a lot more to this story than we understand.
100%.
And for a long time, you know, we think we think of things that we can't explain as magic. But what is magic? It's just the shit we don't understand.
It is,
Perfect.
exactly.
Leave it. You
It
don't
could
wanna
be just
understand
as
it.
scientific as anything else. It's just we don't understand it yet. Like if you took an iPhone back 1,000 years and you could use it, people would think it's magic.
Star
It's not
Trek.
magic.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
science.
yeah,
Yeah.
Beam
absolutely.
me up, Scotty.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And that's what I'm wondering, how much of all this is science and how much is magic and where that all blends. And
Well,
It's
the
interesting.
universe, Tesla, 369, the answer to the universe, same as Einstein. They have the answers, and we're just not paying attention. And it's just be open to the universe. Be open to connecting, and you'll be surprised where your life will go. It's no different than ayahuasca. I mean, the ayahuasca, it's taken from the leaves of a plant that's like miles and miles from the other, from the vine of the
because
other.
there's two compounds, two plants put together,
But they're
right?
not together.
Yeah.
So
Someone discovered that.
did they?
Well, how?
Who?
What is it?
And how
Yeah.
did they know to bring these two compounds together, what to do with it, and then give it? Like, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's not the kind of thing you're just going to randomly put together, is it? It's not just like, this is not...
No, it's not a
Yeah.
vegetable soup,
Exactly, yeah. Yeah.
but yet it is.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff going on we don't understand.
It is.
Were we highly advanced in the past? Or is there some kind of communication from a consciousness that's smarter than us?
100%.
Just, I mean, yeah, like if it's just a big and if it experiences its time on a different scale, for example.
Time is an illusion.
Well, exactly, right? And like the passage of time.
I brought you here for answers. You're just giving us more questions.
That's the whole idea.
And
Give you
it
more
is. It's
questions.
the humility of not really knowing.
And knowing how little you do know.
Yes. And embracing the mystery of it all.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful part of it. Because we want to be in control. We want to know things. We want to control things. We want to fix things.
But
we want to do
control is
things.
an illusion.
It is, and it's the ego. And if you can let that go a little bit and have the freedom, because when you take those mushrooms, you're just in for the ride. If anybody's tried it, they know. You can't stop these mushrooms.
No.
You put them in, you swallow them, you go for the ride. And if you can humble yourself enough to say, all right, just teach me what you need to teach me, and just take it, you'll be okay.
Have you ever asked the question before you've taken it?
Oh yes.
Have you?
Oh yes.
Teach me what you need, what I need to know.
Yeah. What do I need to know today?
Oh,
Yeah.
you put a blinder on that by what do I need to know today?
How's
Be
that?
open. What do I
Yes.
need to know?
Yeah.
Period.
Or I'll just say, teach me. And sometimes I'll take notes. I'll take notes on my phone. Yeah.
And the answers don't always come that day. It
No,
may come
and that's
2
why
or
I
3
take
days
notes
later.
because it's every few days I'll read back over those notes just
Yeah.
to kind of jog my memory of what was happening. Yeah.
Mhm.
So tell us more about these folks in your research study.
Well, we've had quite a variety, both female and male, and they all had very different stories. So that was perfect because we didn't want them all to be veterans that went to
Right.
war. We wanted people with different experiences and different levels of trauma. And so 9 of the 10 are 180. When I say 180, I mean life-changing experiences. We had one participant who was on high levels of painkillers and doing physiotherapy weekly, and
Wow.
that'll be over a year now, year and a bit, and they're fine. They're
So
not
the
taking
mental
anything.
trauma was causing actual physical pain.
Your body
Yeah.
keeps the score.
Yeah.
That is a fact.
That's a book, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
true. But it's a book because it's fact.
That's my next read. Yeah. And this book came out a long time ago. I think so, the 70s, late 70s.
Way before.
Yeah, but it's had some big resurgence recently.
Yeah,
That's-
but
that's
we've
on my
always
reading
known
list.
that.
We? Who's we? A lot of people are stupid.
People in general. You do
Yeah.
know it, you just don't correlate it.
Yeah.
Right? If you have heart issues, well, why
Yeah.
do you have heart issues?
Stress, yeah.
No, there's another reason.
Mm.
Love is usually the missing ingredient for heart issues.
Yeah.
Loss right? So it all correlates to certain,
Yeah.
so now even in the science world, they're seeing diabetic personalities, cancer personalities, COPD personalities.
And it kind of makes sense
Matching up.
in a nature way. So nature's job is to help the healthier creatures reproduce and move on. That's kind of what we want, right?
Yep.
If you are not really happy or healthy or functioning, nature really doesn't need you from a pure like reproduction life kind of thing. So it does kind of make sense if you're not a happy, healthy human, that nature's not going to favor you. It doesn't really need you. It's going to have the happier, healthier, more whole humans be healthy, reproduce, and continue to populate the earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we have overpopulation.
Not very long. Not very long, because our fertility is way less than it's ever been. We're going to have a population collapse in the next little while, and maybe that's a natural thing for the world to do. I know when any population gets overpopulated, like rats or something like that, they have similar problems. If there's not enough resources, they start to have health problems and wars and
there's sort of
like
a self-regulation thing,
regulating the herd.
Stories.
Yeah, stories.
There you go, yeah.
Stories of the planet.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So animals, plants all do the same thing. Mother Earth's doing the same thing. I mean, she's throwing curves at us. Everybody's like, oh, all this climate change. Yeah, but Mother Earth is crying and she's screaming back saying, hey, you're not listening to me. I'll throw an earthquake. I'll throw a tsunami. I'll throw some weather at you. I'll change the weather on you. You're not going to listen? I'll change it.
Well, ultimately, like Mother Nature will, if
She will win.
She'll kick your ass.
Yeah, she's not going to,
She's gonna win.
That's right.
Yeah.
One way or the other, she's going to
Oh,
win.
I
Might
know.
not
People
be
say we're
pretty.
going to destroy the earth. We will not destroy the earth. We'll destroy ourselves.
Yes.
But we cannot destroy the
Yes,
earth.
we will destroy ourselves.
Mother
first.
Nature, she's tough.
She's tougher than us,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
she's trying to teach us.
She's been around a long time.
Yeah. If we could
Wisdom.
smarten up and live a little more
Wisdom.
Just a little bit
a
longer.
little more in tune with the natural rhythm of things, we could probably be a lot happier.
100%.
Yeah.
So when you think you're having stress or you're having a bad day, get this footwear off first.
Yeah.
You
Grounding.
don't have to eat.
Yeah.
Grounding.
Grounding
Yeah.
yourself, walking outside without shoes. If you haven't done it a lot or haven't done it, that's something. Because I've been doing that recently, just because my daughter's running outside or whatever, following a kid.
You're just chasing a kid.
Yeah, and it's actually quite fun. It's a great.
I do that a lot lately,
But
too.
I've ended up running outside without shoes on. My feet are very soft. But it is grounding. It's nice, and I know I liked it.
Stand in it. Stand. So you can,
Yeah.
both of you, I'll put you both on a little miniature experiment. So when we have a decent snowfall, remember this conversation. Okay?
Okay.
And when I say decent, I'm saying, a couple inches where it's actually sitting, it's snow. Go out, take your shoes off, and stand in it. Watch what happens. I'm not going to say anymore.
Well, I do cold therapy every day.
Not the same.
Well, feet in the snow is a good start.
Nope, it's a different, and if I tell you what will happen, that will ruin the surprise.
I'll definitely do it. Well, I do.
I'm definitely going to do that. That sounds like fun.
Yeah. For over a year now, I'll walk outside no matter what the weather it is, barefoot through the snow, get to my cold plunge, spend 3 minutes in the cold plunge, come back in, and it's been exhilarating. It's been all great. Reduces my anxiety.
Reduces
really kind of
inflammation in the body, right?
Resets things. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
so-
I think our comfort kills us.
100%.
Yeah, and a little over a year ago, I had extreme stress, and that's when I got really into the microdosing and the cold plunging, and it's been huge help for
So
me.
start increasing it to 4 minutes.
Yeah, I could. I could.
should.
You think I should?
100%.
I started this year
100%.
putting my hands in, because last year I kept my hands out, but I've heard, and I splashed my face now too, so a little on my
The
face.
whole body,
Yeah.
immerse the entire
Yeah.
body. So with your central nervous system and your autonomic nervous system, that shock is what will alter things.
Oh yeah.
If you don't have it,
It's amazing.
it stays
About 25, 30 seconds in, you just get this wave of endorphins, and whatever you were stressed about before, it don't matter
yeah,
anymore.
because it's called shock.
Yeah. I think my explanation of it is your body thinks it's going to die. So it's like, throw this guy a bone on his way out, give him a little bit of happy juice so you can, but it's great. Your anxiety is so
So make
So
full
low.
use of it. Start increasing the
Yeah.
time and
Okay.
full immersion.
Okay. Well, I
Well,
can't
like-
stay under
like-
5 minutes. I'll drown.
Snorkel.
Are you serious?
I will buy you a snorkel.
You come try it first.
All right, fine.
You haven't done it yet, buddy. I've invited you many times. You keep chickening out.
Yeah, you don't have to be fully immersed for 5 minutes.
He's quiet now. Look at that. He's quiet now. Shut him up. Buy me a
Fine, I'll buy you
snorkel.
I'll come
You
around.
calling me a pussy? You haven't even been there yet.
Uh-oh.
I have obligation. No,
All right,
fine.
folks. Wait for the social media post. You're going to see a picture of Ben in the ice bath.
Perfect. And January 1st, hopefully there'll be a lot of snow. I'd like to see your entire community with their feet planted and images
I
put
will.
on your website
I
or
will.
wherever you want them. So,
do
okay,
it.
this is our task for the day. So
With a
people-
mushroom in my mouth. I'll do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, anything in your mouth. So, I mean, a lot of people do, the New Year's Day swim,
Mm-hmm.
the dunk kind of thing. Well, set your community around to do this snow foot, even
That's
if
a
there's
very-
no snow down.
Old form of therapy, right? Like a lot of cultures around the world have done cold and hot and cold therapy. Yeah. And the sweat lodges and
Yep.
the snow and the
Sweat lodge.
Norwegians, all these things. Like
Get your
people have been doing this stuff a long time.
Get your butt in a sweat lodge.
Yeah. I'd love to. Yeah. Hook me up.
That'll shake you.
Where
I'll
can I
invite
do
you.
that? Yeah. I'd
Oh
love
yeah,
that.
that's by invitation only. That's
Yeah,
not.
okay.
That's not an option. But I'll keep that in mind
Yeah,
because
I'd
I
love
will
to
be
try
building one in the spring.
Nice. Yeah.
Lots of other things too.
Yeah.
Teepees and
Yeah, the
bombs.
whole saunas, cold plunge, all that stuff is because humans live that way a long, long time.
Yeah, but we're too comfortable in
We're
our
too
own
comfortable.
zone. So get out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Get out of it and tap into the natural resources that are there for your benefit.
And I think if we don't, our anxiety, if we live too comfortably, our anxiety is high and we don't realize. And fasting has become a thing. Humans didn't have 3 or 4 meals every day all through history. Yeah, that's amazing stuff.
No. So, and even on a full moon, you can do that because that's our culture. Is on a full moon, you fast for a full 24 hours.
Really? Okay,
Yeah, respect.
cool.
Yeah, so if you deprive yourself, you got to remind yourself that Mother Earth is being deprived
Mm-hmm.
of the things that she should have. So it's a way of tapping in and saying, okay, I'm grateful for what I have. I'll show some
Yeah, because we
respect.
do take it all for granted a lot. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
we've
we
lost
take it.
respect for everything.
Mm-hmm.
So fastest way to get respect and to get yourself back into the
We're,
natural
we're
rhythm.
entitled little brats.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
But tap into the earth. She'll give you the answers, especially face down. Wonk.
Really? Like laid face down? Yeah.
Face down.
Hungry?
Doesn't matter. Just go for it.
Yeah. That's a
DMT
very-
will
it's a
do
very-
that to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never done anything besides mushrooms. Like I was very slow to anything. I didn't have a drink till I was 32. I didn't try cannabis till I was 39 and psilocybin at 45.
Well, seems like you're in little increments. So
Yep.
what's going to happen next?
But I only want to do natural things.
So go for the ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca. Yeah.
But don't do it. Well, go to someplace reputable.
Well, I think I may do a larger dose of psilocybin first.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, if you've only done 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, there's more. What are they?
There's
The
a lot
7
more.
grams is the heroic dose, right?
5 is the heroic dose.
5 is a heroic
5,
dose. Yeah.
depending on who you are.
Okay.
So
Does like
the
size of a
type, I
person
suppose.
make a difference with this or not? Like, because he's quite a big guy.
No, he's not. We're talking 300-pound man.
I'm 200
Right.
pounds.
Yeah.
He's tall.
He's
Yeah.
tall. Yeah. He's
He's
big. He's,
not big.
he's not like a but he's not like 120-pound like child.
Are you working out my dose again? You need. What's your dose, buddy? Let's do this together.
When I know what yours is, I weigh the same as you, so I'll
okay.
figure it out.
All right.
I'm just trying to figure out if that actually makes a difference, if the size of a person makes a difference or not, because it does with alcohol, for example.
Scientifically, it could,
Mm-hmm.
but it's about what you're hiding.
Right.
Okay.
So
It's more
the
of the-
size of you doesn't matter if what you're hiding is greater or less than someone half your size. Mushrooms, plants don't lie. So it doesn't matter how big you are or how small you are. It's about what you've got inside that it needs to say, hey, let go of that. That determines what happens.
Right.
So, yeah, so 5 grams is the basic dose, but 6, 7, it's not uncommon to do 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
10. Wow. What's the biggest dose you've done?
11.
Wow.
Not for the faint at heart.
No, I guess not.
Not
And how
something.
was that?
That was years. That takes time. So
Yeah.
for me, it's every 3 months. So I do ceremony every 3 months with the changing of the seasons, because you should.
Okay.
So you do your doses with the season changes. So on the solstice, the 21st of December, that's it.
And what
Because
tradition does that come from?
it's all indigenous medicine.
Really?
Well, globally. Doesn't
Wow,
matter
okay.
where it is.
Yeah,
It's-
we've lost a lot of connection with space and
Yes.
stars and moons because
Yeah.
people live by those cycles for a long, long
Oh,
time.
farmers.
But now with our light pollution and stuff, we don't even pay attention very much.
But you should.
we should,
Because
yeah.
it will make a difference.
I do much more now. I turn off all the lights in the yard. I'll go to the hot tub and sit in the hot tub and look at the stars with no lights on, and I love it.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's
That's
nice.
what you should be doing.
It's humbling.
Yeah, so
for
next
the
time,
ego.
lay on the ground, get out of the sauna
Yeah.
or the hot tub. Get out and lay on the ground, do that.
Yeah, I
Watch
will.
that. You'll get a different experience
Mhm.
because now you're connected,
Mm-hmm.
but you're connected to both. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is, it's simply just a humbling thing. Because you look at those stars,
They're beautiful.
suddenly your bills or your to-do list is not that important.
They're pretty tiny.
Pretty tiny. It's good to feel tiny. It's good to feel humbled.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there
Yeah.
we've got lots of things for on you. Didn't mean to throw those on your
No,
plate.
those are great.
I'm like,
I think those are all helpful things for
Here.
people.
do
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z. But yeah,
We're so to touch with our natural, old-fashioned living.
traditional
Yeah.
ways of doing things,
Yeah.
traditional medicines as well. But yeah, so ayahuasca would be our next journey, other than a larger dose, which
Mm-hmm.
would be very valuable. But at some point, if you're ever brave enough, because
Mm-hmm.
it's not for the faint of heart.
No. I have a
Through the
friend who
ayahuasca.
took 12 grams. And his life was a bit of a mess. He had a lot of
It
things. He
would
had probably
be.
had, he would say himself, he had an alcohol problem. His relationships weren't strong. His fitness wasn't good. He had a failing business, a lot of just not good. He took 12 grams. He said, the old me died, and there's a new guy here now. This guy runs marathons. He's making 6 figures. He's fit. He's healthy. He's got much closer to his wife and his child. He's a totally different guy. Absolutely amazing from one dose of 12 grams.
Yeah,
Different man.
yeah.
Completely different man.
But that's a dangerous dose. That
Oh, yeah.
could
I
also-
don't think that was his first
No,
experience.
would not be.
But that was the turning point of his life, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, you couldn't do a 12 dose right out of the
Oh,
gate.
no,
That
no,
you
I
wouldn't
don't think-
return.
Well, he didn't. He says the old me died.
Yeah, no, but if he's done it prior
Yeah.
to, you would not
And that
return.
is the thing we probably do need to tell people is this is not for, it's like anything. A peanut can kill some people.
100%.
This isn't for everybody. Some people may have mental breakdown, schizophrenic
Yes.
break, all those things. Like even cannabis can cause that for some
Yeah.
people. Yeah. This
so
is
there's
not, I'm no
caution.
doctor. I'm just talking about my experience. I have found it very helpful. A lot of people have found it very helpful. But it is, and that's the sad thing that it's been, well, I guess you remind me, it's not illegal. Mushrooms are not illegal.
No.
Psilocybin is not illegal.
Selling
It's
it is
selling
illegal.
it isn't legal.
Growing it and selling it to
And
you is
that's
illegal.
the problem I think we have is because there hasn't been enough research done on it, which was so exciting.
But there has.
Yeah, but only recently.
No. This is deception on your part. Well, there's
we're
over
being deceived.
6,000 research
Yeah.
studies that have been going on since the early 40s.
Wow. Then why is it being suppressed? Because it
There-
doesn't. Because you can't patent it and have a
Because you won't go to war and fight for us
Yeah.
if you're happy.
right. That's a thing because they had a big crackdown on psychedelics. What was it?
Yeah, in the 60s with
in the late
Nixon.
60s, yeah. with
And why
Nixon,
did
yeah.
he do it? Because
you don't
everybody
want
was happy.
you don't want peace-loving hippies
Yes.
that don't want to fight.
Same with
You
John
don't want to be
Lennon.
in touch with everything. Yeah.
So
So they
if-
made that stuff illegal.
Yeah,
And
and
then what was the next? Because the psilocybin and all the hallucinogenics connect people, reduce the ego. Very interesting. What was the next drug that was popular in America at that time?
Well, LSD was big.
No,
That
but
was
the
big.
next, like, come the 80s, it was all cocaine.
Oh,
And cocaine completely feeds your ego. Like all these guys on Wall Street and
That's
stuff.
true.
Yeah. So you go from this very humbling, let's connect, let's be peace and love, not war, to cocaine, which is fuck you.
And
I'm
amphetamines
gonna-
and so on.
All
and,
this stuff.
yeah.
That became the new, and I don't know if that's quite coincidence. I think it's almost engineered.
Oh, there's a lot of.
I mean,
there's
there
a lot
is
of
evidence
to
that
suggest
the CIA were bringing in cocaine and turning it into crack because that would build the kind of greedy, let's go culture that they
And also
wanted,
look at
and
the,
not the peace
and look at the
love
neighborhoods
culture.
where it ended up.
Yeah,
That's not a
and
coincidence.
It's not a coincidence at all.
100%.
Yeah, I think
Oh, yeah.
that because the CIA, MK Ultra, they were altering people with drugs way back,
Ooh,
60s, like
lot
look into
further
that
back
stuff.
than-
Oh, yeah,
further
that's-
back
way
than
back.
that.
Yeah, so the governments have been managing people with substances for a long time.
Oh yeah, but long before that, I mean, there's been
Oh,
all
yeah.
historically, there's always been some kind of like, there's been what they call the opiate of the people. There's been
Yeah.
something. It's a lot of different points throughout history has
Yeah.
performed that role.
A lot of wars and fights gone on
I
with
mean,
all that
alcohol
stuff.
has performed that role in some societies,
Yes.
right? So.
Yeah.
Well, look where it's gone.
Yeah.
No offense to your company.
And here we got, yeah, right. Well, no, I do somewhat have a guilty conscience on selling a poison. I do. I mean, we keep things fairly responsible and clean and stuff, but yeah, I do
Are you
sometimes have
prepared
a
to let
problem
that go?
with that. I may, yeah. And that's probably, that's my income.
Oh,
That's my business.
fee.
And that is a lot of reason why I started this podcast, because I did have a little bit of a guilty conscience on making my living on an addictive substance that is technically a poison. I mean, I think I can use it responsibly, but I know a lot of people who can't, and a lot of people who suffer with PTSD cannot use it responsibly. And so I was at a stage in my life where I want to give something back. I want to do something good for my community. And I do think something can be good. It's not all bad when people come together and hang out and they're celebrating and they're having a drink and they're doing it responsibly. It's not all bad. There definitely is a dark side to it. But yeah, I'm hoping to develop my business and my livelihood more into this kind of a thing, where I'm trying to give something a little more useful to society.
Yeah, so you're carrying quite an illusion.
Yeah,
So,
probably.
yeah. So that would be careful with your wishes on that one for a larger dose, because it might tap into, if that's an underlying concern, it'll come forward.
Well, that's why I didn't drink till my 30s, because I grew up with an alcoholic grandfather. It scared me. Yeah, and I didn't realize that I was different than him until my 30s. And I said, oh, I can have like a beer and be good, and not be an angry, hateful person. Yeah,
Yeah, but there's other ways to make money in life too.
there certainly is.
Oops.
Okay, yeah. Are you part mushroom? You're teaching me.
Part plant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised my eyes aren't green.
Well, and we kind of are part plant, right? Like our microbiome
You are.
is
You are the
more
earth.
closely
No.
related to
Let's go deeper.
than the plants than actually.
Ignore your microbiome. All the ingredients that make you a human or a body come from where?
The earth.
The earth.
Yeah.
Literally, that's
But
Literally.
we're not necessarily all
All of
animal.
it.
But we're not really. We'd like to categorize things.
What part is animal?
Well, exactly. But there's some of us, there's our bacteria. I think there's 50 bacteria cells for every DNA cell in the human body. It's
Probably
50
higher
to
than
1.
that.
Yeah, it's 50 to 1. So we're almost, and bacteria is closer to plants than it is
Yes.
really animal.
Yeah.
So we're really
We're
aren't-
not animal.
not completely. No.
What part of us is animal?
Yeah.
If you really look at that, we are
Yeah.
all the elements of the earth.
Yeah.
All of it.
But animal as well as human classification of things as well. That's
Are
something that
also.
we've
Yeah.
classified this as animal,
Yeah.
this as
We
plant.
like to box things
yeah,
up.
we
Yeah.
like to have the neat little categories. Well, this is a deciduous, this
Yeah.
is a evergreen, all this
And then
stuff.
we make this thing called
Categories.
glyphosate, which
Oh.
kills the plants, and we spray it on our food, and then we wonder why we're sick when we're part plant ourselves.
Not
Our
just-
microbiome.
Just
is
sprayed
being
on your food.
ruined.
It's sprayed on the entire province.
Yeah, I've heard that New Brunswick uses something like 30% of the
Nova
glyphosate
Scotia?
in the country.
Nova Scotia is also,
Yeah,
because they're
very
spraying
high.
it all the time.
Yeah, and a lot of that. Did you hear about that mystery disease in New Brunswick? That neurological mystery disease that's killing people, and they don't really understand why. And
Gee.
there's some doctors now that are curious that it may have to do with the glyphosate use in New Brunswick, because
wouldn't
using a lot by a very powerful family who sells gasoline
Yes.
and French fries.
Yes.
And we won't
Yes.
mention their name because I
No.
don't want to be lawsuited.
No.
But you know what I'm saying.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. And
Allegedly.
then there's been, I think, probably 50 of these people that mysteriously died this neurological disease in New Brunswick. And it doesn't, it's not surprising if you're spraying poison everywhere. It just kills plants. Yeah, but we're part plant and it's going to kill us slowly.
It's not the first time we've had the substance. You think, oh, it only kills plants. Oh, turns out it's bad for humans as well. That's not the first time that's
Not
happened.
the first time that's happened.
You
No.
can get that measured in your blood, whether you have glyphosate in your
Yeah.
bloodstream.
And I think
now.
they found it in every organ
So-
of the human body now.
What does that tell you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's more and more and more. But Nova Scotia is notorious. Like, we have the highest disability rate in the entire country. We also have one next to BC, which is now being burnt to the ground. But we also have the highest forest as well. And what's being sprayed on our forest? All over us. It's going on all the time. People just don't know about it.
Yeah.
Look up. You'll see it.
Yeah.
Or don't look up.
Don't breathe. Don't hold your breath.
Only look up at night to see the stars.
All right, we keep getting sidetracked, but let's get back to this research project. So you said there was about 90% success rate.
It would have been 100%.
Would have been 100%,
But again, there are people that will take, and it's still happening today. People will take people in society will take medicine. Like, people will go on all these ayahuasca journeys over and over and over. Why are you
Yeah, I don't
doing
know.
this? So you can say, oh, I did ayahuasca 10 times. That's great. But the participants that were in there were also guided afterwards what to do with this.
In your study.
That's the integration piece,
Okay.
yes. It's not part of the study. It was, that did that. But if you have something come up in your session and then you ask, why did this come up? Or why did this person show up, example? Or why did this experience come up? And you give just a slight correlation as to maybe why, but you don't listen to it, right? So if you're given guidance on
Right.
what not to do, and you don't listen to that guidance, then what happens to you is
Back to suffering.
is your yes. So that's exactly what happened with number 10. Is okay. So the next comes into the session. Well, it's because you need to let it go. It doesn't mean you need to reconnect. So if you don't listen, then you're going to suffer the consequences. And unfortunately, that did happen.
So the findings of this project were pretty encouraging.
100% success,
Yeah.
which
Wow.
is no surprise.
Yeah.
I've known that.
Yeah. But I mean, traditional medicine is probably quite surprised.
Traditional medicine is not surprised.
Yeah. They've been suppressing it, huh?
Yes,
Yeah.
this is something that's been around forever, never, never. You just open your eyes.
Yeah.
Literally.
There's no money in it, right?
No.
Not. You can't put a patent or a trademark and I think they are trying to make. They're trying to make psilocybin, like a pharmaceutical version of it that they can patent.
Yes
That
and no.
They're trying to do it because
Yeah.
they can make more money that way.
Yeah, but they'll
Yeah.
not succeed.
I hope not.
The plant will knock that down.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. So there's that magic piece, the
Yeah.
consciousness piece.
Yeah.
Good luck.
So you're done with this project now?
It is done.
Huge success.
Yes.
Where does it go from there? I know there's a lot of different universities, especially in Canada, that are working on this. And like I said, I know we're in a military town here. A lot of my friends and regular customers struggle with PTSD, a lot of RCMP, first responders. Like, let's have some hope. Like, what do you see coming in the next few years?
You want that topic on this podcast?
Yes, please.
So I've had quite a lot of psychology students reach out because they think this is an area of interest that they'd like to study. And my first thing to them is, put the brakes on. This will not be legalized, if ever. And if it does, it will be so guarded and so protected that it's not going to be open access to everybody. So back up with your choice, because it's the new thing. So they're getting all excited. All these young psychology grads
which is encouraging.
Yep. But
Yeah.
I always give them put the brakes on and
Don't trust the man.
Exactly. Exactly. Go sideways and go, where's the other interest that you have as well?
because there's always,
Yeah.
you've got to look where the money, you got to follow the trail, you look where the money's coming from and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
And they're not going to, no. That's why they're shutting them down.
Let's believe that we can stop sending people to stupid, senseless wars. Let's hope in a better, brighter future where we can help people, where it's not all about profit of wars and missiles and drugs. I would like to believe in that future, and I am probably more optimistic now than ever.
So the number one thing that people are forgetting, and I'll just put that little bug in your ear, is can't do anything alone.
No. But there seems to be this consciousness we're talking about. There seems to be a revolution.
It's pushing people to
Yeah.
come together.
Yeah.
Is what it's doing.
Yeah.
Because even the earth can't work.
And we're
on
having
its own.
conversations. That's the
Yeah.
point of this. We're having conversations, and a lot of people are interested in this.
But come together.
Let's come
and
together.
do the movement. Do
Yeah.
the work. Just don't come together and talk about it.
No.
And
Do
be-
something.
yeah,
Starts
like,
with a
Be
conversation.
vulnerable and honest about it as well,
Yeah.
right? That's
100%.
a big part of it, because
Yeah.
that's not obvious, I think, to a lot of
So
people.
you think the big
Yeah.
big pharma is going to win, or you just don't think they're going to give in?
In the
easy?
long term, Big Pharma can't win. Not really, in the long term.
No, don't zip. Everything is.
No.
You can say whatever you want
Well,
here.
Bill Gates is already.
Yeah,
in
but
trouble.
we've exposed him as a liar long ago.
Yeah, but he's already on trial now.
Yeah, good.
So
Lock him up.
see where that goes, right?
Yeah, I
But
don't
yeah,
care. Anyone taking health advice from that guy? Look at him. He's gooey. He's pasty and gooey. Don't take health advice from that guy.
no, but
Take programming advice from him if you want to learn how to do code.
Yeah.
I don't even
Go to-
think he
yeah.
did the code. He was just the maniac
Steve
who
Jobs.
monopolized it.
I will say this: I've heard stories of Bill Gates. He actually did a lot of, even up till fairly recently, he's done a lot of the code for that
Alright.
himself. To give credit where credit's due. There's no point in putting them down more than that. There's no
Fine.
need to put
Okay.
them down more than
All
necessary.
right. He's
Yeah.
a pasty, gooey genius.
Yeah, he's definitely smart.
But he's greedy because he has done a lot of shady things to protect his wealth.
Oh yeah, that's
That's another topic.
That's another topic.
That's a dangerous one to get on. Yeah.
But let's talk about I want a
Community.
community, and I want to see a hopeful future where we can get back to a little more nature and take the money out of all the poisons, the stuff that's killing us.
Yep. So
Yeah.
we do need to have more of the community retreats and the community services around that type of a thing. So yeah, which will bring people together, like-minded people together, and then those like-minded people will reach out, and it's like the mycelium. They'll reach out here, and this one will reach out there, and then we'll come together as a collective, bring that forward, and then make things move. Because otherwise, nothing. You're going to stand still.
I'm afraid because we talk about change coming after humility, and I think that happens on a personal level. I have to be humble before I can change, but I think it happens on a society level too. I think that I'm worried about what's going to have to happen to humble our society.
Now think about that for a second. Is it humble that makes you change, or is it disaster that makes you change?
Well, disaster can humble you, and that's what I'm afraid of.
So when you
is
get
how
in-
dark is it going to get
Yeah.
before we see the light again?
Crisis.
Crisis.
You will only change when you reach crisis.
When we realize we're destroying ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's no need.
That I don't know if you guys follow the doomsday clock, but we're closer to there's this group of scientists that take into account the environment and nuclear tensions and all these things. And we were 90 seconds to midnight recently, and then this recent stuff with Ukraine, I think, is going to take us. They haven't updated it recently, but they take us even closer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh.
We're closer to complete destruction than we've ever been.
But we take comfort in Mother Nature is going to be fine.
The Russians have just rewritten their nuclear doctrine to allow themselves, before their nuclear doctrine said we will only use nukes if we're attacked by another country with nukes. They just rewrote that. Now they've given themselves legal permission to use nuclear weapons in a case of a non-nuclear country being supported by a nuclear country, which Biden just sent missiles into Ukraine that are nuclear capable. This is not good stuff.
Wonderful.
Our ego and our greed have gotten us closer to so many of us dying.
Yep.
And it scares me of how bad it will have to be before we are humbled to back the hell up and smarten up. Because this does not make any sense. None of this stuff we're doing makes any sense.
Good luck.
But it's the ego, right? It goes back like these are people with big egos who are
Exactly.
measuring their penis size for one of a better. That's what it is.
You mean
It's ego.
sociopathic egos?
Yes.
There's a difference.
Yes,
Yeah.
fair enough. No, fair enough. But these are
Yeah.
people with sociopathic egos who are dick measuring contest.
A lot of
the size
zeros
of their
in their
nukes
bank
and
account.
A lot of zeros.
Yeah.
A lot of zeros.
And we'll all end up a big fat zero if this madness doesn't stop.
But are you going to take that money to the grave?
I'm not.
That's it. You can't
No.
take it with you.
You can't take it with you.
No, but they'll take it to their bunker.
They can
That's
take
what
it
I'm
to their
worried about.
bunker, and they'll all die from
Yeah.
poor air quality and no water in the bunker.
Yeah.
Sitting on top of a pile of gold like some like
But
Tolkien-esque
this has
dragon.
been the thing.
Yes.
This has been the thing. This is what happens is rich people send poor people to war. They see horrific things while these rich people are back at their parties. And these poor people go off to war and come back with PTSD. And then they sell them drugs. Sell them the same people who buy the missiles or same people that are selling missiles are selling pharmaceuticals.
Yep.
It's all owned by the same companies that own the stocks in the same companies. It's just a cycle.
Yep.
And why are we in the war? So we can have oil, which they also sell. It's all about big business, and we need to wake the hell up and understand these things and stop this madness.
Yeah. So tap into the plants. That'll wake you up.
We might be forced to. We might be hunting and gathering. If these alerts keep going off, we could be hunting and gathering this afternoon,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
which would be terrifying because it would be hard. But I wonder if there's any way out of this madness other than that. I wonder sometimes.
Ooh, that's a deep
Like,
one.
how bad does it have to get before we can come out the other side? That's what scares me. I have children. I have grandchild. How bad does it get before we come out the other side? I force myself to do hard things like getting a nice bath and stuff like that and work out and do all these things. But a lot of people are not in tune. They're not physically fit or mentally fit to look after themselves if things go wrong. Like our last guest on here was a Big Al. He's a Yukon bushman. He lives up in the Yukon and helps the environmental scientists. He kind of babysits them, makes sure they don't get eaten by grizzlies and stuff like that. Him and his dog Rummy. So they're trying to, they're prospecting for gold and copper, and he's kind of helping the scientists try to do it sustainably, keeps them safe and stuff like that. But he says it's a great way to live. You're like very connected with nature.
Mm-hmm.
If you get wet, you could die.
Yep.
Like, it's very like thing happens, there's a consequence.
Go with him.
And he's invited me.
Oh, take it.
So now I got to go to the Yukon, stand in the snow, and take a bunch of mushrooms.
Yeah.
I have a homework list.
Yeah, and you got to go to the Amazon and
Amazon.
do the ayahuasca.
Yeah. Our last guest before Big Al was Craig Dorsey, and he did ayahuasca many times. Yeah.
Don't need to do it many times.
I hope not, because I haven't thrown up in 15 years. I have a streak. I am very proud of that streak.
It's different.
But ayahuasca makes you throw up, correct?
No, I don't like the term throw up.
Oh,
'Cause
well,
I
I'm
think
sorry.
Throw up is like if you're sick
Uh-huh.
and there's your supper.
Mm-hmm.
It's up. This is purging.
Purging, okay. And me
Purging.
being proud of the fact that I haven't thrown up in 15 years. That's
Ego.
part of my ego. And if I am sick, I will fight that tooth and nail.
Yeah, it's
I'll
not-
have diarrhea all day. Excuse me, guess. I'll have diarrhea all day. I will not throw up. I haven't thrown up in 15
Yeah.
years. And
Well-
part of me realizes I'm probably going to have to do ayahuasca someday, and I'm probably going to
Dude.
have to give up that title.
Yeah. It will make you purge for hours
It'll humble my ass.
and days.
Yeah.
But it will humble you if you're paying attention to the medicine, paying attention to the messages and the shamans that are with you, hopefully. Proper shaman, not a fake one.
Mm-hmm.
It will change your world. Can't not. It's DMT.
And isn't that what we all kind of want, is just to live a little more in peace with things?
Yes.
There's not a lot of peace. We have this tension all the time. It's a scary thing.
That's all we need.
Because we have this false sense of security in our possessions and our things and our position and our job and our title.
Ego.
Yeah. Status. Yeah.
Why? Yes, that's the question you need to ask yourself. Why? Why is it so important to you?
And sometimes status, I don't think it's always bad. I think like in our old hunter-gatherer traditions, everyone kind of had an identity and something they offered the community and the tribe, you know, like this person is the medicine person, this is the teacher, this one's the best fisherman, this is the best hunter. And that was kind of a status thing that each person knew they had value to offer the community.
Oh, so a role is different than a status,
a purpose,
right?
Yeah, but that's where it gets messed up, right?
Only if
so it is a natural part of us, I think. I think a lot of us do want to have a purpose and know we've contributed something to the world.
Yes.
And then you take that to the first extent and you become gooey Bill Gates. Or a Clinton. Or a Trudeau.
Or a Trump.
Trump's very gooey.
Yes, well, they all are, yeah. I mean, and sometimes the people that want these jobs are the last people you want to have these jobs. Cause
always. That seems to be a universal truth. The people who want power are not the people who should have it.
Yeah.
There should be, I think that we would be much better served by having a lottery system. Just get some random guy, because that would be
that was supposed to be democracy.
But it's not a random guy, because you've got somebody who wants to be a politician.
But democracy was the majority of us pick something, and then someone's supposed to represent us and do that. But that has been twisted and changed by the military-industrial complex and the corporations. Democracy is not. If you give people the choice, they would not want their tax dollars be spent in missiles in Ukraine. They would not want that. They don't want that. But are they asked?
They don't know that.
Yeah, they don't know it. It's being hidden. Yeah. So I do believe in the common sense of the average person. But I think our system has been so corrupted that that's not transferring anymore. We need some kind of a reset of our. I believe in democracy. I do, because they say it's a terrible system except for all the rest, right?
Yeah.
But if we could do it, I do believe that most people are good, especially if their needs are being met.
100%.
Hungry people are dangerous people. Frightened people are dangerous people.
Yeah.
Yeah. If your needs are not met, you could be a dangerous creature.
Correct.
Yeah. So, you're still not optimistic about the future?
I don't think about the future.
No?
Why?
Whew.
It's not here.
No?
I can't control it.
Did the plants teach you that?
Being humbled in the ground will teach you that. So I've been face down in the earth, thrown down and say, have a look at reality, because this isn't real.
Live more in the moment.
Live more in the now.
Yeah.
You know, Eckhart Tolle sort of a thing. But there's validity to that, and we're not. We're always worrying and stressed about what if and what can I do and those purposes. I mean, I'm as guilty as everybody else will do it, but as a general rule, before step back.
So you've had that experience where you can kind of slow yourself down on that and be back in the moment.
Plant medicine will do that for you.
Helps.
It'll
for sure,
pull you back pretty quick, especially ayahuasca. You want to know about tomorrow? No.
Just never you mind about tomorrow.
Not happening.
You just be here right now.
You just show up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Actually, you're not leaving, so you're still here. You're stuck for 4 days.
Yeah.
Can't go away.
It would be very exciting to see a shift and a change in these things, because there's a lot of people that are struggling more than ever, and not just first responders and soldiers and stuff like that. Just average people are struggling with PTSD.
Teenagers, what they've got to look forward to. I mean, they're bullied, and social media has destroyed them on so many levels, right? So so that's why we need our mushrooms in the water.
Yeah. Mushrooms. Take out the fluoride, the chlorine, put in the mushrooms.
Yeah, or back in my day when I went to school, we used to go up and put your hand out, and we used to get a vitamin E capsule. Well, go get your mushroom capsule. Why not? Start a business.
another business. I moved from alcohol to mushrooms. Would they put me in jail though? They put me in a cage for that?
Make it legal.
Yeah.
That could be done.
Well, I would love to. And
There's
I think
ways
that
around
part of this, having these conversations, bringing this stuff to light is because a lot of people didn't even know that there was a research project in Windsor, Nova Scotia about this kind of thing.
No.
It's exciting. It's very exciting.
It was huge,
Yeah.
huge.
Big
And Nova
step.
Scotia?
Yeah.
Of all provinces.
Oh, I know. Because it was
So-
demonized for a lot of people.
Yeah.
They think of someone losing their minds, but maybe they're finding it.
Well, Michael Pollan's book and his documentary, How to Change Your Mind, that opened a lot of people up prior to, right? So that was a big window for people to go, hey, I saw that documentary and Fantastic Fungi, is that you guys? And I'm like, yep, that's us.
It's pretty cool.
But we had over 8,400 and some odd inquiries from all over the world.
I was one of them. I applied.
Did you?
I did, yeah.
How did I miss you?
I just didn't get a response. It was probably completely overwhelmed. And it wasn't
Did
that long
you
ago
go on
either.
the website?
Yeah, I think it did. But it was long after it started, so it was probably when things were winding down, but I didn't know yet.
Yeah,
But I
well,
wouldn't have qualified anyway. I didn't have a diagnosis or anything like
One
that.
day today, 1 year ago today is when that company shut down.
Yeah, it was probably within the last year or so, yeah. So if people are a bit curious about this and encouraged about this and seeking some relief or some help or guidance from plant medicine, where would you suggest that they reach out? Where to start? Someone has zero experience. What would you recommend that they
Then
do?
start with Michael Pollan's book as a general rule. But
Education.
Yeah.
Educate yourself.
Yeah. So the other one, My Plant Teacher, is a great book. It's only that big. It's a little tiny thing, but it is powerful book, and it is literally My Plant Teacher.
Oh.
That's what it's called.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal book to start. So start doing the research, right, and then talking to people, and that'll open you
Yeah,
up.
because you don't have to have too many conversations now before you find someone who has some experience.
Oh, it's everywhere.
A lot of people have experience now.
You just mention it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I did that last Tuesday." Oh, I know someone who did. Or
Yeah, it's not as taboo as it used to be.
And I get messages all the time. Come
Are you
talk.
familiar with the research project they did with the mice and the cherry blossoms and the epigenetics and the psilocybin?
Cherry blossoms?
Yeah, so they would take this cage of mice and they would spray cherry blossom aroma into the cage. And then when they spray the cherry blossom aroma, they would electric shock the cage.
Oh.
And this mouse, of course, a female mouse would be terrified of this electric shock. But then their brains, they would associate the cherry blossom aroma with the electric shock. Okay. And then the scientists believe that these traumas are connected on the epigenetics. So not our DNA, but there's our DNA strand, and then there's just little tags that nature kind of puts on there. It's like, we're all afraid of heights, almost all of us. We're afraid of the dark. There's a lot of these things that are in all of us. But then as a creature, we'll come upon new dangers in life, right? So nature's way is to tag this fear onto the epigenetics. And then if it's on there long enough, I guess the theory is that it becomes part of your DNA. So this mouse associated this fear of cherry aroma with this electric shock. This female becomes pregnant, had babies. They take these, they separate them, they put these babies into a cage and they spray cherry blossom aroma, and these baby mice would automatically start to shake because something in their epigenetics, this intergenerational trauma, knew I should be afraid right now.
100%.
And they start to tremor. And then that was the exciting part is once they give them even microdose or a large dose of a psilocybin, that will go away.
And why did that happen?
It's erasing that trauma that comes through the epigenetics. The science says what they believe now is that little tag that says you should be afraid of this is like wiped away by these mushrooms.
So let's go into the science realm for just a minute, and I'll pop back out of that quick.
Well, if there's a difference between science and magic, we don't know, right?
There's a big difference.
Yeah.
So with the neurotransmitters, when there's trauma, our neurotransmitters are normally lined up, and with trauma, they dissociate. Right? So then the ends of these neurotransmitters have like a calcification. That's not the proper terminology, but it's what it's like. And they can't connect. They can't get back. So once they calcify, they're randomly floating around like this. Psilocybin, which follows the pathways, undoes that and reconnects them. So now the neurotransmitters are connected and their neural pathways
So
are
we're talking
moving.
about people that experience trauma and they're kind of stuck in a fight or flight, fawn, all these.
Yeah, you've got all this disconnection. So even in the mice, they become disconnected. The mycelium will reconnect them. So now the pathways are cleaner and clear.
Yeah. It's
That's
very
the science
interesting.
around it.
Because they found folks that, people that survived the Holocaust, for example, and then their offspring were separated from them, but then their offspring grows up afraid, having an irrational fear of being like abducted in the middle of the night, because that happened to their ancestors, and they have no reason why, they have no understanding of why, or someone who may have been born as a product of rape has an irrational fear of rape, and they may not even know that story. They were given up for adoption and grew up separate from that, but there's that trauma that is somehow stuck in them
100%.
that apparently the plant medicine can help with.
Correct.
And this sounds like hocus pocus. It sounds, to someone who doesn't know these things, it sounds like that's like intergenerational trauma. Sounds ridiculous to some people because we haven't really had the science to understand it. It's sad that we have to have research projects to understand things, but it is enlightening now that we are coming to learn these things and realize these things,
Yep,
and then these people, these first responders and soldiers, they have this trauma and they can actually pass that on to their offspring.
They do.
They do. And not just by growing up in the same house with them.
You don't have to.
You don't have to grow up in the same house with them. That fear and that trauma is in your genetics that you pass on to your offspring.
Correct. And that's the troubles with the indigenous communities.
Yeah.
Yep.
And alcoholic homes and all these things, addiction, all these things.
Doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
Throw trauma, anything in there, it will stick like glue.
Yeah.
But what the mycelium will do is it'll go in there and rip it off and move things the way they should do.
Isn't that beautiful, though, that if nature
It's nature.
could throw us something like that, a little life raft, a little
But
opportunity.
it has.
I
The
know.
life raft is
I
there.
know.
You just
I know.
got to get in it.
You don't even have to rely on some scientist somewhere.
No. Get in it.
Nature just made that stuff
Yeah.
grow out of the earth.
Doesn't have to be fully inflated either. Just get in it. Way you go.
Now, don't just go around taking random mushrooms. You got to know your stuff.
Oh, no.
Because some of them are dangerous.
No, don't do that.
Yeah.
Those ones on the lawns, stay away from those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything pretty, stay away from.
Yeah.
The prettier it is, the more dangerous it is.
That's
Isn't that
what's the
life?
red and white one from
Yeah.
Scandinavia? That Anamina. How do you say that?
Anna Marita.
Yeah, Anamina.
Anna Marita mascara.
Mascara. Yeah.
Pretty.
Beautiful, yeah, but it'll fuck you up, apparently.
Oh, big time.
That's my experience with humans. The prettier they are, usually the more they fuck you up.
Yeah. It's in all nature.
Yeah, I suppose.
It's done that
There's
way.
nothing more beautiful than a tiger,
Right.
but
And
watch yourself.
Yeah, or jaguar in the middle of the night. So, so nature does that. So, even some of the most beautiful flowers in the world are the most poisonous. There's a reason.
Wow.
And that reaches down into all avenues of society, right? Beautiful women are often the most dangerous.
Absolutely.
So, right.
Thank you. Cheers to that.
Right. So, yeah, watch the beauty. The expression beauty's in the eye of the beholder is true. So
Yeah.
those little
Well, there's some
red and
people
white
that
mushrooms.
look great until you know them.
Oh,
Get to
yeah.
know
Yeah,
them.
there is a perception thing in there, I think,
Yeah.
with how you perceive people. Different people will perceive different things as beautiful depending on their own sort of psychology, I think.
Yeah.
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 100%. So, yes, prettier it is, the more stay away
Yeah.
from it. That's why golden teacher is brown. So
Just
ugly,
very
little,
unassuming.
skinny, tiny, little mushroom, no bigger than that. And it's brown. Why would you consume it? It's not attractive.
Yeah.
But boy, have at her. That'll fix your distractions and perceptions pretty quick. Yeah.
That is cool.
Right? So
It's an
there you
amazing
have it.
watch.
Watch the beauty.
Yeah, watch
Stay
it.
away from it.
Watch it. I know. Yeah, you see some things like, nope, that's
Not for me.
too much for me. Too high maintenance for me.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
mushrooms, like I said, mushrooms are easy to grow. Right? They can't get any easier, them things. So there's validity in what's simple and what's plain and what is good for you.
So what is your work now? What are you doing now for this?
So I'm still doing the same work. I still do private therapy.
Okay.
I will never, ever.
And how do
let that
people
go.
find you?
Oh, just through the mycelial
You
network.
gotta ask someone. There's
Ask
no
someone
website.
who knows someone.
Nothing the feds can track.
Same way you found me.
Uh-huh.
It's just
Says
people
someone,
know
yeah.
me, and then
Yeah.
it works its way through
And that's the
that.
best kind of advertising, really. It really is. Like, if someone says, I've had a great experience with this, whether it's a restaurant or a service or whatever,
They'll tell.
credibility. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So other than that, I'm now working with indigenous communities building medicine gardens, which is the 4 sacred medicines that we use in our communities. And I'm building those around the indigenous communities because they need the medicine as well. And so that's my new projects coming up. I have a big one coming up with Glooscap First Nation in the
Wow.
spring.
Cool.
Got one with the town of Canfold and one in Middleton.
Wow. Maybe we'll have to have you on again to talk about some of that stuff with
Yeah,
you.
so that's the Medicine Gardens, and it's a new company, Medicine Gardens of Nova Scotia. So it's not just about the Medicine Gardens, it's about teaching and the education and bringing people back to nature and getting people out of, instead of being hyper-focused on success, I'm the opposite. I'm pulling you out of that and bringing you back for rest and recovery.
I've noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about rest and recovery. I've been super hyper-focused. I've been a national athlete, et cetera, et cetera. I've had all the escalades and of success, and it is always a reminder to come back to center, to come back for rest and recovery. As we move into the winter season as well, it's a time of rest, and people don't.
No, I don't want to, because I've got such a demanding life. But I've noticed when the time changes, really messes me up.
And that's what
Really
ceremony's
messes me
done,
up.
right?
Yeah.
With the changing
But
of
that
the
sudden
seasons.
hour change seems to be a pretty dramatic change. I think if we just let it naturally change,
Only if you think it does.
maybe, yeah. But I get very depressed after the time change.
Stop
Takes me a
telling
few
yourself
weeks.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
It's all in the thought.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. Yeah.
And that's what plant medicine will teach you.
Yeah.
Be careful what you think.
Oh, I need to get more mushrooms because this time change went through my bag. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's, again, it's conversations with the self. That you don't need to do that. You don't need to tell yourself that. Why do you believe that?
I know. Yeah.
Like, that's a whole other topic with me.
Yeah.
Don't go there.
Well, yes, the negative self-talk
Yes.
is a big thing. Yeah.
And your brain's listening.
Yeah. And that seems to be so dramatically different than when you have mushrooms in you. I can be just everything's negative, everything's bad. I'm suck at this. I'm terrible at everything. Nobody likes me. Nobody cares. And then you have a couple grams of mushrooms in you, and I find myself in the bathroom talking to myself in the mirror about what a great fella I am. And you know what? I'm gonna make you a snack.
And so why
Let's
is
go
that?
have a snack. I don't know.
Because plants don't lie.
Yeah.
They're telling you the truth.
Mm.
It's you that tells the lie. It's you that brings on that deception.
Yeah.
Get away from it.
Yeah.
You have a struggle, go grab a cracker, but put some
It's that whole
celery in there.
story, that whole story that we've
What
told
you tell
as
yourself.
an individual, but also as a society. Where's your value? It's based on what you can do, what you have. That's what our society tells us. Yeah.
But that's up to you as well.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you buy into the story? Yeah.
What's the story that you're
There has to
telling
be a
yourself?
major change in narrative, I think, for our society to become healthy again.
It's changing. It's
It is.
slow.
It is changing.
But it is
Yeah.
changing because we are having more and more conferences, more and more
It's slow
summits.
now, but I'm afraid of what is. It could speed up, but I think it's going to take I think if a crisis comes, it could really speed
We're
things
in
up.
for one.
We're in for one. We're due for
The
one. Yeah.
sages and the saints are all telling us that's
Yeah.
another world, but they're all saying that the new 2025, we're in for a shock.
Yeah, I don't like that. It's terrifying.
No, it's not terrifying. It's
It
a
is.
shock.
I'm terrified.
But change can be change can be anything. Change can be any direction you want it to be, right?
Yeah.
I
changes,
believe that
like,
we will
death and
eventually.
rebirth and
I do believe that we are on track for some crisis, and I do believe that will eventually take us to a better place. I think it's going to be a very uncomfortable. Right now, what I feel for society is that moment when I go outside and there's an inch and a half of ice on my cold plunge and I'm chopping up with an axe and I'm standing there like, I know I got to get in. I don't want to get in. I know it'll be good for me on the other side. I don't want to get in. And that's where I feel like our society is right now. It's like we're going into this very dark, cold time. I don't want to do it. I know we'll be better off on the other side of it, but I don't want to do it.
I don't think it's going to be cold and dark.
No?
No, so that's the flip side there. I don't think that at all. We are in for what you would call a rude awakening.
That doesn't necessarily need to be cold and dark.
No,
Whew.
it's a switch in thinking, switch in the consciousness.
Do you think there could be a lot of suffering in that
There's
time?
going to be a lot of departure on the planet, as opposed
What
to
is departure?
suffering.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm trying to understand.
Bodies
Yeah.
leaving the planet.
A lot of death.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there will be a lot, and it's already on the rise. We're already in that zone.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
There's like 500 million people a day are food insecure, meaning they don't know where their next meal is going to come
Yeah.
from.
Yeah, but the other thing that we've experienced back in 2019, that one is shot that through like a rocket, right? So yeah, but no, there's something coming, and those that can shift from the 3D world to the 4D or the 5th or higher know it.
Part of me almost likes the idea of not having to keep up with the Joneses and the mortgage
Correct.
payments and
Exactly.
the news and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Part
Get
of
out
me
of
is
there.
like, man, wouldn't that be nice to only have to worry about finding food and shelter and
today.
fuel for the day?
Okay.
It sounds quite freeing. And I know the people that live that way live happier, healthier
Yes.
lives. They do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get off grid.
But it's going to be a rocky transition.
But that is the thing though. Like it isn't comfortable,
No.
right? Living off grid, having to make sure it's not from coming from a place of having
Too much
heat,
comfort.
Yeah.
too much comfort, all the sugar you want, all the pastries you want. Ooh, lovely. It's different life than that.
Not everyone's going to make it.
That's
No.
exactly right.
No,
Not
but
everyone's
that's
gonna
not
make it.
necessarily bad. I mean, it's it sounds callous to sort of say that like that, like it's not, but this is not. If there's something that has to happen in order for everything to be better, maybe that's not the worst thing.
But it's not new. This isn't new.
No, it's
No, that's true. I
That
mean,
just happened.
This is history repeating itself.
Yeah,
that is also
nature's
true,
way
very much so.
of the
Yeah.
strong survive and the adapt.
World War One, too. Like,
Yeah.
hello.
Yeah.
How many people did we lose there?
Yeah.
Do you sit and lie awake at night going, oh, we lost 5,000 soldiers last night? Well, don't go there. So that's not new. So get out of the head, right? Because what's coming? So what if the aliens showed up?
Oh, that would be great. I would hope.
What?
Maybe they could smack
But
some
that would
sense
be
into us.
Exactly,
But
right?
that would be a rude awakening in itself if that was the case, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's predictions that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
There are people who are saying, yeah, they're coming.
Well,
Well,
Or-
that would be cool.
Or
I had
coming
a whole-
back.
Yeah, I had a-
Coming back.
Not
No,
coming
no,
back.
No. They're here.
Yeah.
They're just showing themselves.
They may have always been here.
Well, according to the studies in Antarctica, they're here.
Yeah. Oh, there's all kinds of craziness.
Right?
Well, if you look at the Bible terms, like the Bible, I have a degree in the Bible. I was a preacher for 10 years. Like, what are angels and demons? What is any religion? Is some being from space, the stars, the heavens, comes down, teaches us things, and then goes. And it's like, where does that come from? Every world religion has these traditions of some kind of wise creature from the heavens coming to us.
But does it not say in the Bible as well that we have everything we need here on Earth,
Oh,
on
yeah.
the planet?
Yeah.
You've been given it?
Yeah.
How many pictures in the Bible will you
And
see?
I think that all these ancient traditions have some truth in them.
100%.
People knew some shit. And we like to think it's all fairy tales and bullshit, but there's
But
a
again,
lot of truth, all that stuff.
all
Why
the
is it
science.
so consistent everywhere?
What about
There's
all
a lot of
those
consistencies.
images that are, what do they call them? The images on all the big farms now? You
Oh,
look up above
Yeah, the circle researcher there.
what are they called?
Yeah, Yeah, and the crop circles.
Yeah, the crop circles
Oh,
and
right.
all the drawings on the walls.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hello,
Yeah,
where's that come from?
we had our head buried in the sand. I think as a society, we don't want to think about things that confuse us. We want to understand things. We don't want to think about things that we can't understand, can't easily explain.
Yeah.
It's intimidating. It's scary to us. That's why, like these things about even the UFOs, like the government's been talking about these things, but people don't care.
No.
Because like, oh, I just don't want to.
But people
think about
deal
it.
in absolutes, right? People's brain, we don't do shades of grey very well typically, right?
No.
So like either I have definitive proof that this exists 100%, or it's not true. There's not there's no wiggle room. But you can't prove things if it's not.
Yeah, we're great at denial,
They want proof. Always want
avoidance, and denial.
But it's not just proof. You want 100% proof that's going to be sanctioned by a peer-reviewed study, blah blah blah. But that's not how that works,
No.
right?
I think there's going to be a snap back to reality on a lot of shit.
Ooh, is there ever? Which is a good thing.
Ah! I've never cried on camera before, but
Or thrown up.
15 years holding strong.
I can fix it for you. Careful. Careful what you wish for.
I haven't thrown up since before I was drinking, so I've never thrown up alcohol.
That's like an invitation. Like, be careful.
That's challenging.
I've been around a lot of people that did, but I was like holding down the fort. But that's an ego thing. Yeah.
It's only 15 years. Is only a number.
Yeah, it's a good number though. When's the last time you threw up, Ben? Throwing up is
I
a
had
very
food poisoning over the weekend, so that's a bad example.
terrible example.
Poisoning, yeah.
The things we talk about on here.
Food poisoning.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I do have a nursing background. There's nothing I haven't heard
Or seen.
or seen. Where went? You did what? With what? Okay.
Where did you put that?
How'd that get in there?
Oh, well, so
Yeah.
I don't know where we go from here.
You
I asked you to give some advice to the folks. He said, read a book.
yes, start
What's the name
doing
of that book?
the research.
Yeah, do some research.
100%.
Reach out to some friends that you trust.
Yep.
Some people you trust. Yeah, if you're going to source things, do it. Smart. Start easy. I would say. You agree?
Be
Start
responsible.
slow.
Be responsible.
Be
Don't
responsible.
overdo it.
Yeah,
And
kind
don't
of
do
ease your way in.
anything alone.
Right. You need a trip sitter.
You need a trip sitter.
Yeah. Wow.
Preferably an experienced one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
a friend who has some experience.
Even if it's just somebody there in the room with you, that's
Yeah.
fine as
And I
well.
would love to see this become more socially acceptable and actually have healthcare professionals that understand these things and experience these things and lead people and help people and have this stuff be more, safe and accessible. I think it could have a huge, huge change on our society. Imagine if people started to love and accept themselves more. And be
John
more
Lennon.
and more. Yeah, look what they did to him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Anybody
George
in the-
Carlin, the comedian George Carlin, says, you ever notice that it's not the guys that want war that get assassinated? It's always the
Peace.
people that want peace that get
100%.
assassinated. Because they're in the
100%.
way. Yeah.
So that's why the topics are very delicate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Because the Kennedys did not want war. They didn't. Look what happened.
nobody does.
No, well, some people do. The people that profit do.
Sociopathic ego.
The sociopathic
Well,
ego.
even they don't really want war. They
No.
just want the spoils of war.
They want
Yes.
control.
They want control. They want money. They want
But they drag all of us innocent people along with them.
100%.
and their egos don't allow them to
Yeah.
see that that's a problem
Yeah.
because they're focusing on their sort of little
Yeah.
small-minded,
And
small
violence-
narrow vision of
Violence
it is.
doesn't fix anything. It doesn't. I mean, these war-torn countries now, like the people in Ukraine have been through some horrific things. Like their epigenetics are cluttered with some shit.
Yeah.
The whole being starved out during communism and all these. They have seen some hard things. There are tough, hard people there. And that's just going to continue. There's more trauma and then revenge and hate and more and more and more.
So I'm going to flip your coin over before you go too dark on that
Yeah,
one.
please.
Gratitude.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I do spend a lot of time being very grateful
That we're
for
not in that war
I
zone.
I
that
hear you.
we have clean water.
I start
despite
every day
chlorine
like that.
and,
Yeah.
but I don't think people, and that's all
Mm-hmm.
of us, myself included, not grateful enough. And
Yeah.
that gratefulness.
Because we can think we have it so bad.
Oh,
Yeah. Because we don't have
look
a new car.
around. Look around.
Yeah.
Right? I could show you things.
We are the wealthiest, safest people in the world.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
what do you
we
got
really
to
are.
complain about?
Not
Especially
much.
here in Nova Scotia. I mean, you know, it's
Yeah.
it's a pretty cool place to live, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I
It's
like
a beautiful
Yeah.
province.
beautiful, lovely people.
So why are you stuck in the house behind your TV?
That's a very good point.
We have oceans and lakes that are beautiful.
Walking trails. And
Like
rivers. and
rivers
lakes,
and
yeah.
like get out.
I hear more and more people doing that stuff. A lot of more people are spending their Saturday off and Sunday off on the trails.
Yes,
Yeah, a lot
because
of people. They're learning.
your illness is in the body,
Yeah.
and to get rid of it, get moving, get
Yeah.
out, get moving,
Yeah.
and get that stuff
Even
off.
science agrees with that.
Yeah. There's a lot more science. Andrew Huber, the Huberman Lab. It's
Oh,
a
the
great
Huberman Lab.
podcast. It talks. He connects the scientists to a lot of stuff, cold plunging and being in nature and grounding and all that kind of stuff.
But that isn't new.
No, there's new that we have like understanding of the science behind it, but do we even really need that? It's just our ego that
It's-
thinks we need
yeah,
the
thank
scientific explanation of it.
You need it.
Yeah.
You don't. It's always been here. Cold
Always been
plunging,
here.
well, crepes. The Europeans have been doing it for centuries.
Yeah,
Children are brought up on that.
yeah. Yeah.
And then we go, huh?
It's
You wanna do
crazy.
what?
Why would you do that when you have a warm, cozy bed? Yeah.
Yeah. So gratitude will bring you back and get you
Mm-hmm. Oh,
out of those spins.
3 minutes in the cold plunge will make
Yeah.
you grateful for your warm, cozy bed.
Yeah. Yeah. And the warm food, even if you burnt it or it tastes
Yeah.
terrible, at least it's food. You
Yeah.
got it today.
And you
So-
and you're grateful for the next meal.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
So when you get your head spins into that little world of yours, you
Yeah.
should
Oh, I
carry a
do.
coin with you.
A coin?
Flip it. Yeah, coin.
Yeah.
And
What's
flip
the
it.
what's the flipping do?
That's exactly what it will do. Is take a coin and flip it. So you flip your perspective,
Oh, okay.
perception, and your thought.
Yeah, no, I do spend a lot of time worried about where the world is going, but I do also intentionally spend a lot of time being grateful. I am genuinely grateful. Yeah.
That's the key.
And a lot of people I love, I know, live their lives and they're doing their things and they have no idea of what could be coming or what may happen. They probably even have my children grew up, fairly wealthy and happy and they're doing their things. They have no idea really how the rest of the world lives or what could be happening here or, how all these things that we enjoy could all go away.
Yeah.
We have very little
So
idea
they
of
know
that.
how to grow a garden?
I barely know how.
So,
I would have died if I had to survive off my garden this year. I'm working on it.
right?
I'm
But
working on
that
it.
should be in the school system.
It should be.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and just an understanding of where your food fucking comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like
Yeah.
kids thinking French fries grow on trees. What is that?
Yeah.
That's
That's terrifying.
serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've witnessed it
yes,
because
me
there's
too.
a community garden in Cunpole and they have quite a lot of the immigrants that come in there and they were showing them the food that they were growing and they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, you grow that.
Well,
That's scary.
my
That is
family
terrifying.
comes
It
from
is.
a long line of trappers. So part of my family would have been Mi'kmaq, and part of them were white European trappers, and then they became fur farmers. But I've taught, I think my first animal I caught and skinned at 5 years old. My grandfather standing over me. I just got off the school bus, had to go check my rabbit snares. I caught this rabbit and I had to skin this rabbit, and my grandfather is standing over me. I'm crying in my snowsuit. I still remember 1982. He's yelling at me, he said, "This is your heritage. This is what you have to do. Your ancestors have done this for thousands of years." He said, "If you do not know how to do this, you may die." And I'm 5, like, I don't want to do this. And I had to do it. And it was a horrific thing.
And now,
It was terrible, but I know how to do it. I don't do it for fun, but I
But
know how to do it.
if you had to,
I have to. And that's what I think a lot of us forget, is that for almost all of human history, you had to kill to live. You did. That's the reality of it.
You have to
In
kill
order
to
for you to live, something has to die. And we're so disconnected from that. So
Like,
disconnected.
it's very different to buy some like chicken breasts in a nice little styrofoam box with saran wrap over it. Than
Or even
actually
one more
breeding.
step for removal,
Yeah.
just go through a drive-through and talk to a box and they give you one all cooked. You know? Right? Like
Brenda.
we're very,
Yeah.
very removed from the reality of survival.
Very much, and even with like plant stuff, just
Yeah.
like a salad, it comes in a little box if you want to buy it, or a little bag or something or whatever. That's not the same thing. It's very detached from the actual going outside and actually harvesting something.
Right.
Yeah. Don't
Tastes very different as well.
100%, or grow it indoors if you have to. But
Yeah.
you should be, if you've had that experience with animals, plants is an alignment. So why haven't
And they're just as
you?
alive.
But why haven't you lined that up?
Well, I've started to garden and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, started.
Started. Well,
At least
are
there's
you
a
ever
seed in the
done?
ground.
We had a Ken from Revival Seeds on here, and his family's been in the seed business for over 100 years, and they're
Cool.
still learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And our seeds are being depleted and
Yes.
stockpiled
Uh-huh.
without our note. We don't know about
Yeah.
that one either. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Great company just here in Middleton. They like these heritage seeds, teaching people how to harvest their own seeds. Yeah, he saw their business really expanded during COVID because people are nervous. They want control over their food security.
oh,
Yeah.
look at the price of food now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And where's
And
it
it's
coming
not good.
from? How many?
There's no minerals in
How
it.
many
It's all
months has
depleted.
that been in the back of that truck? Well,
Yeah.
they harvest things unripe for a reason because they
Yeah.
got to last.
And there's no magnesium in the soil. There's none of that.
And they
Yeah.
pump a lot of it full of because it's by weight. They pump it full of water so that it's got more.
Yeah.
That's great. That's brilliant.
yeah.
And you can taste that it does that as well.
And the salt water that they add to chickens now to give it that flavor
Yeah,
and
inject 'em up,
plumpness.
yeah.
So, and then you consume it, and then you wonder why you're all depressed and
I don't
thinking
wonder, I
about
know.
the future.
Yeah.
Pull you back.
I say,
Get some seeds.
yep,
Get them
back to
growing.
nature,
Yep. Get your mushrooms.
back to the future.
exactly.
Yeah.
It was a great movie.
Well, I think this probably, it was.
Yeah, it's much more efficient than having a fucking lawn. Right.
Oh, lawns are stupid. That's what those colonizers did, put in lawns.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, get back into. I mean, it's right there on your.
The maple leaf,
Yeah, get back to the world.
back
of
to nature, yeah.
Yep. where you
Even,
belong.
yeah. Yeah.
And once you start realizing the benefits and how it will affect you and how it will change you on so many levels, then there's no escape. It's
Yeah.
like you're gonna have to keep doing. Then you'll
It
be
is
doing
where
mud
we
baths
belong, isn't it?
next.
Because the way we've lived, this industrialized life we've had in the last 100 years or so, that's just a tiny, tiny blip in the story of human history.
Yeah.
For most of our lives, we were hunter-gatherers, and then a little while, farmers, and then more recently, industrialized. But it's not human life.
No,
It's not really.
it's not real life.
It's not. It's just a tiny, tiny portion of the story of humanity. Yeah, but because that's all we've known. I mean, I was born in 1977. That's all I knew. I was born with televisions and cars, and they even had satellites. So there was even cell phones and stuff. We didn't have them, But these things existed when I came into this world. So that's been my understanding of what life is. But that's not really the human experience.
Correct.
No, and even young kids nowadays is even more detached. because
Right.
Suddenly
They-
we've
They
got
grow up with an iPad.
No idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
like-
that's scary.
Yeah.
That is the concern that I have as a grandmother, is that our grandchildren, they have no comprehension. I mean, mine do. And they might not like that, but they all do. They're all raised barefoot and in
In
the
an
mud.
apple tree. Yeah.
Pretty well. Yeah.
It's
good.
Yeah, like that side. We forget how impactful that is.
Yeah. And that's where the destruction lies, in the children who have no comprehension, because
Yes.
that's what we're bringing forward.
Mm-hmm.
They won't think anything of plowing down your front yard.
No.
It's like, what's that? No big deal to me. I don't know.
Mm.
Go back. We've got to educate our children.
We
All
don't
of
want
them.
Bill Gates to be the one feeding us all.
No, so
Can't rely on that son of a bitch.
well,
He's the biggest farm owner in America.
water.
Water and farmland.
Water.
Yeah.
He's bought
Yeah.
up all the land that
Yeah.
covers
And
all
if you
along
control
the
the
water.
food and you control the water,
Water.
you control the people.
You control the people.
Yeah.
Another topic.
Another topic. But let's finish this let's wind this up and let's try to go out on a positive note. I think it is beautiful and exciting that you help these people with their trauma. and it's a very encouraging thing for our future and your continued work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is my purpose.
Yeah.
That is what I do. And now it's about getting other people. Like I said, now with the community gardens and the medicine gardens, that's the educational piece that's missing for our children. And our kids seriously do not have any understanding. So get them educated.
Yeah.
Get them into the forest schools,
Yeah.
so to
Great.
speak.
Get into nature and get some nature into you.
Eh.
Yeah.
There's a slogan.
Yeah.
I write that down on the wall somewhere.
Write it down.
Get the old spray can out somewhere. Write that down.
Don't not spray. There's toxins in that.
There's plant
Let's
ones.
just tell each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that, yeah, you should write that down
Yeah.
somewhere. On
What
your,
we just did in
on
digital.
your-
Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
All
We'll
right.
get Brock to put that.
Yes. Well,
yeah.
thank you
Get
very
it
much.
back into you.
Yeah. Get into nature and get some nature into you.
Yeah, and that'll make the world a better place.
Yeah. Thank you very much for coming in
Oh,
today.
thank you. It was my
Yeah,
pleasure.
It's great. It's good to have these conversations.
Yes, and they
Yeah.
need to keep going. Not
They do.
just this one, but
We will.
keep the community engaged in conversations.
I'm sure the great thing about this podcast is this podcast will be listened only a few hundred people, but those people will definitely have a conversation with someone else and someone else, and then they'll find the book or some material or a friend, and this, hopefully this conversation can spark hundreds more conversations, and that's that mycelium, right?
Yeah.
Growing through the soil.
So then you take your backyard and you bring these people in for conversation.
Yeah, and mushrooms.
Have a big fire in the middle, and
Yeah,
mushrooms for everybody.
That's
Some
great.
marshmallows.
that sounds good.
And we
Yum.
go.
Maybe we should do that. Yeah.
Right.
Right. Thanks,
Perfect.
guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thanks for coming in.